Good evening, one and all. It's Friday, it's the end of the week, and today we are returning to the ongoing D&D project. Oh, yes indeed. The project's turned every single warframe into multiple variants of a D&D monster. Welcome on in. Hope you are doing well where you are around the world. This project has been going on for a very long time. I have genuinely lost track as to just how long this project has been ongoing, because it has been no pun intended, a monster of a project. It's been a long one. If I just start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, it goes on a while. I'm just going to get right to the bottom. There are a lot of monsters, all the way up to currently Styanax Prime. Today I intend to expand this with Titania, because that'll be the 43rd warframe added into this. So we've got the starter frames of Excalibur, Volt and Mag, and then almost every frame alphabetically all the way up to Styanax, with the exceptions of ones which came out after I passed that letter. So Citrine and Dagath, they aren't currently in there. But everything else all the way up to here, so that's like Sevgov, we got Hydroid in there. I need to do the rework, I'll add that it's Hydroid Reborn. We've got Ember, Cora, Garuda, all of them up to the end of S, which means today, and then I'm going to be doing Titania. Getting to work on T. Take a bit of time. It's just a concept. Who cares how long it's been? I mean, I kind of care how long it's been, because, you know, it takes a long time to make this. Certainly not being able to make it primary or even secondary focus, along with everything else I'm doing, does slow it down a bit. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I will say that Sevgov was a tricky one to convert. I'm very glad that I did not do Sevgov on stream, because I would not have got it done in 3 hours. Absolutely would not have done, because while Styanax and most of the others have 4 parts, they've got the Initiate, the Adept, the Master, and the Prime. Sevgov has more pages, because Sevgov has Sevgov themselves, and then a Dying Shadow, his passive. So I figured, you know, got to include that passive. This is a core aspect of Sevgov, is his shadow at all levels. I couldn't just ignore that passive, but I couldn't just make it whilst dying not die. That was boring as sin, so it needed its whole other creature. You assume they're all Warforged? No, Warforged is a specific race, as it were. These are their own thing. They are Warframes, so they are medium-sized monstrosities, by and large. All of them neutral evil. They don't care about the whims and ways of whoever's organisation. They're not part of that. They are purely mercenarial, out for themselves, so they are neutral evil. They don't care about hurting others. They will happily hurt others to get what they want. Neutral evil, through and through. Now, so yeah, the Sevgov shadows become large undead when dying. I figured, you know, go the undead route. It's dying but not dead. It's straddling that line. Sure, let's give it a little bit of a change. But that means then there's also the Adept, and the Dying Shadow Adept, with appropriate stats, and the Master, and the Dying Shadow Master, and room to put in a bit of graphic. And then the Prime, and the Dying Shadow Prime, and the Exalted Shadow Prime, because they are 2 different shadows. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, whereas Styanax is, you know, like most of the others, just a warframe. Just 4 tiers of stat blocks, which is a little bit easier for me to manage, I will say. But today, we're doing Titania. Oh, yes, indeed. As I'll say, so the... Not sure what MCTM stands for. RPG Kickstarter raised $2 million in 24 hours. Wow. I think a few people I know will have some steady boy because of that. That is grand. That's more than grand. It's 2,000 grand. That's honestly great, Tom. I'm glad to hear that. Because I know you've got a few friends in the creation industry, as it were, of tabletop gaming stuff. So yeah, that is grand news. Absolutely. Also, Gabrielle saying, after you've turning them into monsters to make them as PCs. See, I specifically went the monster route because I feel Warframes fit that much better. For PCs, you need more options. You need to be more dynamic. A PC Warframe class doesn't fit what Warframes are. Snake, I just took a sip, but sure, why not? Let's take another. Just dehydrate. Because you think about it, a typical PC class, even a basic one like Barbarian, has a lot more than 4 features going on. There are a lot more than 4 buttons to press, as it were. And when you get into your caster classes, they've got loads going on. Oh, thanks, Snake. They got loads going on, loads of options, loads of spells, loads of features, all interacting with each other, even at low levels, which is a lot to combine together. A homebrew race? Again, they still would be far removed from Warframes. If you got it as a race, or as a background, whatever you want to call it, what do they call it in Pathfinder? They don't call it race, they call it lineage? No, that doesn't sound right. Not sure what the word is they use in Pathfinder, but it's the same kind of thing. They just moved away from the word race. Understandable. That's gonna bug. I have to check now. That's gonna bug me. What do they call it? Ancestries. That makes sense. Ancestries, right? Yes. Because again, Warframe as an ancestry, as a you are descended from Warframes, doesn't really make sense because of the way Warframes are created. They aren't a species. They are a corrupted and broken weapon of war. They are. Bear Overeem say, my only thought on round up those numbers of the bullet jump because 5e usually uses 5-foot grid for battle map. I don't need to round them out because I'm using the exact same jumping rules that 5e also uses. 5e's jumping rules is that you can jump upwards a height of 3 feet plus your strength modifier. That is just default D&D 5e. I double the value. So I'm having no influence on the 5-foot grid or not. Same for the horizontal. It is just your strength score is how far you can jump without a check. I double that for their bullet jump. So absolutely not deviating away from how 5e handles things. I understand there is a whole squares thing, and so for a 15-foot jump, a 3-square jump, the Styanax wouldn't make it. But that is straight out of the books. I am not changing things there, other than to give them the extra range on the bullet jump, which means that for, for the Styanax Prime, and Primes all get triple rather than double distance, that means Styanax Prime can get a 30-foot vertical jump with no run-up. 30-foot clearance, just stood there, straight up. And 72 feet horizontal. That is terrifying. Dude just there, large spear in one hand, shield in the other, and just goes up. That is, that's problematic. That is problematic. Ariel Quiet said, missed out at the beginning, you made those how? Made what? The Warframes? The document? The document is using a website called the Home Brewery, which allows me to turn pseudocode into pages and stat blocks. I've got a couple of graphics added in when I did the original 3 as samples. And I'll be adding graphics to the full document as and when it is completed. Yeah. Gabriel saying, like a character can change their build by changing bodies, type of Warforged, one that can plug its core into different bodies. That's very, very far outside of the normal 5e scope, and again will be better suited to a monster rather than a player character. I would be concerned about any kind of balancing with that. I would seriously be concerned about balancing that to create as a player class or a player ancestry. Honestly, I get the idea that you want to play a Warframe. I get it. If you can create it with what exists with other D&D materials and just kind of reflavor it, go for it. But in terms of the Warframes in D&D, they fit far better as monsters. Because even with the Prime, where I've got given them access to all of their abilities, I've got Axios Javelin, Theros Strike, Rally Point, Final Stand, their individual spells, and the Warframe is limited in how much they can use them. And some of these have even had at least a smidgen of playtesting so far to make sure they were on the line, and they are on the line, absolutely. That was a great session I had with Selenyata. The one that was streamed. But yeah. You just want to play as your main even in D&D? I understand that. I understand that. Just like you get people who want to be Iron Man or Thor or some other superhero character in Dungeons & Dragons, and I get it. Translating them to a player character, you've still got to fit it within the game framework or it's going to break something badly. I know that from past experience. Whereas monsters, you got a lot more leeway, especially because monsters are supposed to lose. By and large, that's what happens. Monsters come into the game, the players fight them, the players win, because otherwise if the players lose and die, the group has to kind of figure out, well, where do we go from here? So typically monsters lose. And it is much easier to balance something that's supposed to lose than something that's supposed to win but not make it too easy. See what I'm saying? It's a lot easier to introduce these. Plus also there's a lot more variety then. The player character is one character. You got 4 people in a typical group, 4 specific characters. The DM can bring in any number of warframes. You can have a whole campaign, nothing but warframes, theoretically. You're bad at numbers, unfortunately, so balancing will be extra hard. Yeah, balancing is very hard, and I've got a number reference document, and even then I still have to work around it to make it work correctly. We had some teething issues at the start of this project. Anyway, let's get into the very basic, which is a description for Titania. I know it says Stynax here. I've just copied down the initiate to then use it as a template for Titania. But I need to start with the description. What about the Archons? Well, they're not a part of the plan, Gabrielle. Wouldn't they be extra scary as D&D monsters? They would be more monster options, yes, just like Kuvaliches, just like the Eidolons, just like any other sentient, just like the Grineer and Corpus units could be incorporated. But I'm doing the Warframes. I really want to focus your mind onto not what could happen, but what I am doing. Because all you've suggested so far is doing something other than what I'm doing. And I want to be very clear that's not what we're here for today. That's not what we're here for. So let's create Titania. Modeled on ideals. Modeled on ideals of a warrior typed pixie. X for pixie. A Titania. It's both devious and dangerous. In its prime, yes, I'm going to use that joke. In its prime, it can shrink its form, blossoming in power. That can be both. That can be both impossible to catch and to avoid. There we are. Just a simple blurb to give the idea as where we're going with this one. Wikispan operated? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, Delta Chipmunk, the Warframe wiki is entirely fan done. In terms of some of the graphics, they may be provided through the public export from DE, but all the information is put there by players. All of it. Would be funny if Stynax got infinite flying for his pre-nuff bug. Well, funny you should say that. Funny you should say that, if I recall correctly. Yeah. In the description for Final Stand, I have put, if otherwise able, Stynax may cast Final Stand again without returning to solid ground. I did specifically make that part of the stat block. Just to make a point on it. Did I get a free Sevagoth? No, I didn't stay up for the Game Awards. Frankly, it's not of interest to me, to be quite honest with you. I don't want to sit through 20,000 trailers and then hear a few award speeches. So I just skipped out on all of that. I already have Sevagoth farmed and refarmed, so I didn't need the free one. Does Nyx make thralls like a vampire? Nyx has her abilities as well. Nyx works like she does in Warframe. All the Warframes, as I've set them up, do. They don't carry over absolutely every feature, because at the end of the day they need to be on a tabletop game, not a video game, but they do still function enough that you would easily recognise them. Sorry, excuse me, I just recently had a lasagna. So, yes, right then. We've got a Titania initiate. Now with Titania, where I figure on this one is that she should be decent in all of Dex, Int, and Charisma, which means that her Strength, her Con, going to be on the lower side, and Wiz I think should stay more in the middle. That's why I think Titania should sit. To match in with the theme, that pixie approach, to give her spellcasting assist, but also to make it where, in terms of physical combat, she hasn't got quite the same there, at least until we get to the 4th ability, which is the Prime. 4th ability is pretty much the only one that's hard to translate. Well, for Titania, Nyx, or something else, because I've been translating all of them. Top to bottom. All of them. So, with Titania, oh, I've got ideas to the fourth ability. Don't you worry. I have been doing this for a lot of Warframes. I have got a lot of experience in converting them at this point. I have spent well over 100 hours on this project so far, because this is the 43rd Warframe I'm converting, and all Warframes get 4 tiers. It's the Initiate, Adept, Master, and Prime, with access to their first and second, first, second, third, and fourth abilities. So that's how it scales up in terms of complexity as well as the power involved. And then there's just all loads of numerical balancing along the way. So with Titania, I always aim for the Initiates, or at least I have been aiming with Initiates, for a challenge rating of 4 to get started. I want Titania to be a little bit flimsier. So I'm going to give her a rank average 14 AC for this tier. But the hit points, I'm going to bring those down to, down to 60. Speed is going to be a bit quicker. Let's give her a 35, and we'll increase that at the higher tiers. Absolutely. Alright then, strength, I'm going to drop right the way down to an 8. Unusually weak for a Warframe. Very, very weak, but that is intentional. I will go for the 16 on the dex, give that a nice high score. Con, I'm going to make that a low 10. Int, give that the 16 treatment as well. Now let's see. I've got 3, 6, 5, and I need a total of plus 3. Yeah, for the for the initiate, we'll have the charisma still low, but we'll scale it up quickly. That should work. Am I giving them backstories aside from the blurb? No, they're monsters. They're not characters. We've been over this, Gabriel. They're monsters. Monsters enter the scene and they die unless the DM gives them a backstory. Alright then, in terms of skills, well, as a pixie, Arcana is going to be right up her street, so that's going to be a +5 right there, and then I'm thinking Deception, which will balance out currently to a +0, but that will scale up quickly. Acrobatics? Not straight away, no. I want to go with the Arcana first. Passive Perception will be a 10, Proficiency and all those stats are just there. Once per turn, Titania may turn a jump into a bullet jump. Jumping as if it had a run up and able to cover twice the distance. Now, considering Titania's passive in Warframe Actual, which gives her longer bullet jumps, I've been considering giving Titania 3 times bullet jump distance rather than 2 times. And then on the Prime, give her 4 times rather than 3 times. 2 reasons on that. First of all, to match her passive. Second of all, to deal with the fact she's going to have a low strength. So currently, she would have, with a strength -1, her vertical would be 2 foot normally, 4 foot with bullet jump, which is kind of pathetic, to be honest. Because a strength 12 character normally can just jump 4 foot with a 10 foot run up. Whereas if I triple that, 6 foot's still not impressive, but it is more impressive. It makes up for that lack of strength, and at later tiers, she'll soar. Which kind of makes sense, because it's Titania. Yeah, I think that should probably be the way. Hey Gabriel, if you want to write 55 backstories for Warframes, you go do that. On your own time. And whilst you're at it, you'll be able to create your entire own homebrew, as if you're the DM. Alright, so, yeah, I'm going to go that route of the triple bullet jump for Titania. Doesn't perfectly match the passive, but these things have to perfectly match. It captures the theme of it. So, 6 foot vertical or horizontal would be 24 foot. And I'm going to call this enhanced bullet jump, to make it clear that she has more than others. Hello Gats, how you doing? Hello Betty, how goes the Bone Fairy? Oh, we're just getting started on Titania. We're just getting started. So obviously give her 10 times jump distance to Prime, because if she isn't in Raised Wing all times using Titania. Well, I'm figuring with Razor Wing, I can give her just plenty of uptime on it. Like, just lots of it. So we'll be fine there. Okie dokie then. So, in terms of the abilities, give her her spell, her very first one, which is, of course, Spellbind. I always seem to think it's Spellblind, but it's Spellbind. Spellbind. There we are. This will be a spell. Now, what I'm thinking with some of these, yeah, this one's definitely going to be one action, but some of Titania's I'm going to give her bonus actions for casting to make it a bit quicker. But for this spell, one action and a duration of 1 minute at maximum. Titania binds a creature it can see within... What range? It should be a decent range. What did they start with? Cast range 50 meters? Oh, I'm not going to go 150 feet. Not at this early level. But it does mean we can go for decent levels, so decent ranges. We'll give this one a lower level counterspell range, so 60 feet. But at later levels we can take the higher. So Titania binds a creature it can see within 50 feet. An enchanting dust. The target must make a... Now that's going to be wisdom, yeah. Wisdom saving throw. The DC is going to be, that's 13. On a failed save, the creature is restrained. It may reattempt the saving throw the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success, which is pretty standard fare. But then the second effect, because we can't just have Spellbind sit there, the second effect, whether the target is restrained, whether the target saves or not, all creatures friendly to Titania within 15 feet of the target have all negative conditions removed from them, unless created by a spell of higher level than Spellbind. That reduces the effectiveness a bit there, so if you have a lower level Titania against higher level players, she can't just completely wipe out every status, but things like Restrained, Restrained, Frightened, Blinded, all that kind of stuff which can come in and really affect the gameplay, she can nullify those of Spellbind's level or lower. So Kelton, thank you for the bit. Yeah, Razor Wing is going to be terrifying, and that's going to be by design, but that's only going to be for the prime. So, whether the target saves or not, all creatures friendly to Titania within 15 feet of the target have all negative conditions removed from them, unless created... doesn't need a comma. Unless created by a spell of a higher level than Spellbind. Now, do I give that immunity over time as well? 56 more streams to go until we run out of bits. That's going to be a while then, Kelton, isn't it? That's going to be a while. Let me think here. Yeah. I'm going to give them just temporary immunity as a result. Not a long one, but temporary. So... Whether the target saves or not, all creatures friendly to Titania within 15 feet of the target have all negative conditions removed from them, unless created by a spell of higher level than Spellbind. have removed from them and gain immunity to for conditions till the end of Titania's next turn. Actually, yeah, that's the right formatting. How about the durations divided by affected allies? That starts to get into tracking territory, which when you have too many things to track, the DM gets overwhelmed. That's very much a video game mechanic rather than a 5e tabletop game mechanic. Like that wouldn't be amiss in something like maybe 3.5 edition or even older editions where all kinds of weird modifiers can come into play constantly. 5e is meant to be much more streamlined, so it's either on or off for a duration that's simple. In this case, end of Titania's next turn. A big part of that as well is not just for the individual creature, but if there are other creatures involved, which also then end up having their own complex interactions, it scales massively. Hell, fire. People can forget whether they've got a shield equipped or not, so yeah. Timing and mathing out things, yeah. But this should be fine itself, so double checking for make sure it sounds alright. Titania binds a creature it can see within 60 feet in enchanting dust. Simple. The target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is restrained. Restrained should have a capital letter. It may reattempt this saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. Simple. And then perhaps lasts longer when cast from higher tier Titanias. May do, or I may increase the range of it. Because you'll likely have access to further casts of it, or other things more important to cast anyway. It's not supposed to become this overarching ability that nullifies all statuses. It'll especially have access to higher levels at a higher level, which means that higher tier effects will be resisted. So that's probably going to be the scaling, rather than trying to create, track how many rounds this lasts. Round tracking is just rarely, if ever, used in 5e. It really isn't. I think about the only thing off the top of my head I can think of for round tracking would be something like delayed fireball. Very few things use it otherwise. It's why a lot of the spells are 1 minute duration, because 1 minute is an encounter. If you have an encounter, a combat that lasts more than 10 rounds, that is a long combat. So 1 minute usually just says, for this fight. That's why I'm using it as a standard duration, for example. So, whether the target saves or not, all creatures friendly to Titania within 15 feet of the target have all negative conditions removed from them. And gain immunity to further conditions until the end of Titania's turn. I'm going to remove the combat. Unless, not it, the condition. There we are. So, have all negative conditions removed from them and gain immunity to further conditions until the end of Titania's next turn, unless the condition was applied. No, that's still clunky. I need a better way of phrasing this. Whether the target saves or not, all creatures friendly to Titania within 15 feet of the target. I'm just going to rephrase this whole thing. Become immune to all negative conditions caused by spells or effects of a level no greater than Spellbind's level. This clears, this removes any active conditions requirement. Oops. I suppose revisions until the end of 10 years. I've got so many details trying to put into this one thing here. It's figuring out how to put it together. Removes, prevents negative conditions cast by same level spells. Well, that's incorrect, Ray, because what about low level? Whether the target saves or not, all creatures friendly to Titania within 15 feet of the target become immune to all negative conditions until the end of Titania's next turn. Cleared of and immune to. Conditions caused by spells or effects of a level greater than Spellbind are not affected. That should neaten up. Whether the target saves or not, all creatures friendly to Titania within 15 feet of the target become cleared of and immune to all negative conditions until the end of Titania's next turn. Conditions caused by spells or effects of a level greater than Spellbind are not affected. Yeah, that's clear. That's clear. I'm happy with that. Right. Hello, Cosmo. How you doing? The Titania's Void Power ability is Intelligence. Spell save DC is 13. I don't need an attack bonus on there because Spellbind is not an attacker. And we'll give this... Honestly, for such a full action... but it is restraining. Yeah, because it's got a restrain effect on it. 1 per short rest of Spellbind. There we are. That's fine. I'll just... Looking back, I know it's actually just Javelin add down as 3rd level. Is it really a 3rd level? Deals 2d10, 2d10. And then nearby is for 1d10. Yeah, it's a 3rd level. Anyway. There is no clear distinction, so I'll leave that 3rd. Right then. That is the spellcasting section. So now we have actions. Titania is going to have... Well, Titania Prime in Warframe has the Corinth Prime and Pangolin Prime. And Pangolin Prime, if I have a look here, that is just a very standard, very simple sword. So, short sword works fine for her, I think. We'll give her a short sword and I think a dagger as well. Do I give her ranged weaponry aside from the dagger? Ranged spell of sorts? I don't think I do. I don't think she deserves that. With Spellbind already, I'm already going down the road of debuffing targets. So we can then combine that with further spells at high levels. Again, debuffing, controlling the battlefield. She doesn't need a reliable ranged attack. So no, I won't give her that. So we'll have a short sword, which is going to be just melee attack. Melee weapon attack, of course. And a dagger, which would be melee or ranged weapon attack. Now these are both going to be +5 to hit. This will be a reach, 5 foot, or range 20/60 feet. Oops, didn't put the slash. I probably could have just copied that down, to be honest, but it's fine. Hello, Andrew, how you doing? Yeah, it's melee weapon attack, +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, 1 target. Hit, that would be, short sword is 1d6 +3 piercing. Yep, that's correct. And then we'll see from there what balancing I need to do for number of attacks. Same then for this. We'll have, it's 1 target and piercing, but it's 5 because that's going to be a 1d4 plus 3 piercing damage. Okay. So now from here, I'll figure out the approach. So Titania, we got the control aspects. We're going lower hit points. I think damage per round should be on a bit below side as well. So I'll be aiming for an average damage per round of around about 20. Now, Spellbind is going to be taking up an action, which is functionally take up a round. So what I can do for Titania is actually give Titania a bonus action to use the dagger. I'm sorry to hear that, Andrew. I hope you recover quickly from your cold. So if we go bonus actions, go rather uniquely, just give her straight up quick strike. Titania makes an attack with its dagger. Pure and simple. Hit for piercing dagger. Titania draws a new dagger. That doesn't need to be capitalized. New dagger as part of the attack. Just to be clear that it gets around the whole weapon drawing restrictions, which are a little bit cumbersome when it comes to stuff like throwing daggers. So with the basic attack from a dagger there, we're going to get an attack in of average 5 damage. And then the follow-up, currently that would be 6 plus 5, which is 11, twice over. So it's still on the lower end. So I want to buff that up. I think what I can do to buff that up, get that towards where I want it to be, is we can go multi-attack. Titania makes 2 attacks with its short sword. Specifically the short sword, to again hamstring that ranged attack. And then give it something a little bit thematic. So Titania's abilities, which mostly seem to lack much in the way of damage. Titania does have the lantern, which does heat. Yeah, we've got fire, cold, lightning, poison, thunder, radiant, force, necrotic, acid. Let's give her a bit of poison on it. Let's make the short sword do a little bit of poison, I think. That makes sense. Yeah, because Pangolin is just a basic sword. It doesn't have anything special to it. And I don't want to have Titania making lots of melee attacks. Kirby says something feels off about the immunity to all conditions from Spellbind. Does it feel like something you'd normally see in 5e? Maybe just overthinking it. Well, it's not supposed to be something you normally see in 5e. Warframes are taking a different approach to stuff, but it's still a limited spell. It's very much a condition counter, but it uses up Titania's entire action to do it, and it's in a targeted zone. That targeted zone is also around a target creature to actually get the binding effect. So what we've effectively got here is a worse hold person. Is it worse hold person actually? Hold. It's hold person. Yeah, because hold person is paralyzed for the duration, and at the end of each of its turns, it can reattempt the save. So this is a worse hold person, minus the concentration though. It's got the same range. I'm putting it at a slightly higher level, but then it's also creating that status immunity for allies around the target. So it's not too far off from an existing spell, realistically. It's at a higher level, and it's still got that awkwardness of it, which Titania can't benefit from if she herself is not up in the fray, which is not going to be the best for her as a support caster. And she's going to be a threat there, so if anything, it's giving her that survivability she needs. I do think that should be okay. Playtesting may say otherwise, but Hey, it gives her a thing to do, and it gives the players something they need to focus on. If the players know that Titania is capable of this, which they can find out from research, no, alright, that one's going to try and stop our status effects, stop our frightens or prones or restrains or whatever else we've got. But if we hit that one first, she can't do it. Typical caster approach, you know. Hit the squishy. You convinced? Hey! Mission successful. Moving on then. Moving on. Right, yeah, I'm going to give the short sword a little bit of poison damage. And now, not too much. So let's go with 1d6. Yeah, 1d6 poison damage. So what that means is that turn 1, she spellbinds someone, and then she'll attack with the dagger, which will be an average of 5 damage. Turn 2, she could short sword, dagger. So that is going to be 9. 9 again for 18, dagger 23. And then 23 again the next round. 23, 46 plus the 5, 51. Over 3 turns, that is 17 damage per round. That's still a little bit on the low side. But we've got the advantage to hit against a restrained target with Spellbind and the status cleansing. I think that balances it out. Just about. I think that balances it out. Her damage output is low for her challenge rating. She's not got strength there. She's not got con there. Hell, she's not got perception there. But she's got enough to get her work done for her level, I think. That should be okay. Have I made Vauban? Not as yet, no. I'm going through them alphabetically, with the exception of the starter frames. They were done first. So, if I scroll up, you can see I've done a lot. I've got Sevagoth in here, Sarin, Rhino, Revenant, basically all of them up to this level, up to this letter. The only exceptions are Citrine and Dagath, because they came out after I'd gone through those letters, so I'll just get back to them later. They can wait their turn. So yeah, right then. In terms of stats then, that pretty much lines up. The short sword has enough damage output, so it's got that constant melee effect, but it's still lower for the tier. Being carried by the Spellbind, today's got a little bit extra speed. Neutral armor class for the level, below expected hit points. I need to do the hit dice for that. So 60 divided by 4.5 is 13. Yeah, 58 hit points it is then. To get a nice clean number for the hit dice. Boom. You miss everything between Pro Tour and this. So I don't stream all of these because, well, if I only do them on stream, I will never get this project done. Yeah. Exactly, Kelton, yeah. If a new frame comes out in a letter I've already done, then it's just going to have to wait. So Corvex is waiting, as and when Corvex comes out, Dagath is waiting, Citrine is waiting. Whereas Kalervo came out before I'd gotten through the letter K, so I've already done Kalervo. Yeah, so like, just to give you a quick note here on Sevagoth. Sevagoth was an absolute monster to convert in a fair manner, a manner that properly reflects the Warframe's capabilities. So I've gone Sevagoth Initiate and Dying Shadow Initiate. When it's dying, it becomes this creature, which is a much smaller stat block. Sevagoth Adept and its Dying Shadow, again level scaled. Sevagoth Master and its Dying Shadow, and then I've got space for a graphic. Sevagoth Prime and Dying Shadow Prime and Exalted Shadow Prime, because of course its fourth ability is to become the Shadow, but not a dying one, a much more powerful version of the Shadow. So Sevagoth ended up being 9 stat blocks. 9 of them. That was not going to get done in one stream, so I had to do that one between streams. Anyway, that is a Titania, to be quite honest. That seems fine. Now, it's also a bit of a long one. I'm not going to fit Titania Adept into one column, I don't think. I'm going to start off trying it, but it's not going to fit. These look so cool as boss fights. That's the idea. Both as boss fights, but also also they can be used as just ancillary monsters. So like when we did the test, it was myself with Yatta and Salansi, who happily joined me on stream. They played 2 characters at level 5. I think I told, yeah, level 5. And they were facing off against one Warframe. They faced the Oberon Initiate. Then they faced a Frost Initiate, which I do need to buff. And then they faced a boss challenge of having a Kalervo Initiate and a Core Initiate at the same time. And that was a very, very close series of encounters. It was honestly bang on the balancing. I could not have been happy with how that pair of fights went. Or trio of fights went. Yeah. Frost does need a little bit of a buff though. He got, after his first spellcast was just, didn't feel frosty. So that'll need to work. How do Kalervo's red crits work? Well, red crits aren't a thing in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, so that's not a thing. It's just not a thing. Instead, Kalervo. Bit further to go. There's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, here we are. So Kalervo Initiate, which is where we get Wrathful Advance. Kalervo channels its wrath with such ferocity as to instantly displace itself, teleporting to a point Kalervo can see within 60 feet. Upon teleporting, Kalervo gains advantage on all melee attacks until the end of its next turn, and deals 5 additional damage with each melee hit. If Kalervo teleports adjacent to a creature, it may then use its multi-attack action against that creature, which allows him to make 2 attacks with his greatsword. So, it gives him advantage and a damage buff, a lasting buff to all melee attacks both that turn and the next turn, and gives him a teleport all in one. That is a combo of strong. When he tried to use that against my players, sure enough he got that teleport in, did the smacky smack, and then the players, well, one of them that had the ability to do so, forced Kalervo to lose his next turn, which means that the second half of that buff didn't happen. Yeah. He'll be best against a Barbarian, damage output in general, or something to lock the Barbarian down. Something like that. Or maybe a Nyx. Like, oh, you want to be big, mean, and strong, do you? Cool, join my side. And then the rest of the party goes, ah, no, please do not join their side. Yeah, mind control, definitely a good choice against a Barbarian. So, Titania Adept. Have I done Caliban? Yeah, I've done Caliban, yeah. I've got Caliban, Initiate, Adept, Master, and Prime, and also a Conquerlist stat block, because Caliban has Conquerlist. Right, let me see here. So, Adept, I usually I do aim for challenge rating 9. With playtesting, that may go up or down, but challenge rating 9 is the approximate aim for a Titania Adept. Titania Adept then will have a 16 AC. Hit points, I'm going to aim for around about 120. And their speed. The speed is going up, that's now 40. Okie dokie. Stats across the board, we need a total of +8 over the Initiate stuff. Typically with +1 across the board, then 2 more +1s. So +1 across the board. There we are. And then 2 more +1s, I think. I'm going to give the +1s in Wisdom. No, actually I'm going to put it all into Charisma. Charisma just to there. Get 1x +1. Yeah, tell you what. Put it in the Wisdom. But I'm also going to put the Dex and into 19 to indicate they are on the threshold of going that step further. Yeah. I'm going to be releasing these once I'm done. That remains to be seen on exactly what and how I can release. My intent is for them to be released in some format. I've already cleared it, the basics with DE. They know about this project. In fact, I showed it to Reb whilst I was in Canada. So they've seen the project, they are aware of it. I've already discussed some of the legal aspects with them, but the exact nature as to how they'll be released would need to be hammered out once it's done. Legalese. Lots of it to consider. Right. You know a friend who go crazy for these? I'm hoping there's a lot of people that go crazy for these, to be quite honest. Yeah, I put a lot of work into this lot. The Arcana is now a +8. Deception is now a +4. And then, yeah, Acrobatics, I think someone suggested, which is a good shout. Acrobatics would be a +8. Beautiful. Passive Perception is now a 12. Enhanced Bullet Jump. Once per turn, Titania makes a bullet jump. Turn a jump into a bullet jump. 3 times the distance. So that is now a 9-foot vertical or a 30-foot horizontal. Looking good. This DC is now going to be a 16. Yep, 16 it is. 16 here. And we'll consider the rest from there in a moment as needed. So, next spell that Titania has is Tribute. Now this is a spell where I think a lot of people go, ah yes, that one with the Selector. What does it do again? Spell. This one I'm going to make one bonus action. Oh yes indeed. I don't know on the duration as yet. I'll consider how I want to go about that. So, Tribute, you can get a damage resistance and reflection buff. You can reduce enemy accuracy. You can buff your companions and razorflies. I think I'm going to skip that one. And then you've got a slowing one. So I think the Thorns, Dust and Entangle for reflection, accuracy and speed, those ones I can work with. Yeah. Those I can absolutely work with. And that's why it's bonus action, because none of this is damaging outright. It allows me to kind of branch it out there. I say damaging outright, actually, does it? Yeah, because it's knockback on the enemy. No, it does do damage. I was blind. It does do damage. That's fine. We can still have it as a bonus action. It just won't have a lot of damage. Yep. That should be fine. As you say, these streams really make you want to get into D&D? Go for it. Just go for it, frankly. Right, Tribute. Yeah, I do not have enough space to make this on a single page. As soon as it overflows the column, I'll turn it into a new page. Titania infuses a creature. No. Fuse it? No. Targets it, creates a copy, blasts them out of the way. Yeah. Titania infuses a creature it can see within 90 feet. I'm going to have to, at some point, go through standardizing. Do I use foot or feet in spell descriptions? I think it should be feet. That's a standardization thing to do later. That'll be a second pass of the document, turning it from alpha into beta variant, and then finally into release variant. So, Titania infuses a creature it can see within 90 feet. No, it's not an infusion, no. Titania. A target is too basic. I want a word that kind of captures the kind of thing she's doing here. She's targeting a creature, blasting it backwards, hurting it, and creating this buff entity thing in its space. Rebukes? Would rebuke fit? Rebuke sounds like a reaction. No. That's not what Titania is doing. Come on, I need a good word for this one. Titania repels. Very fundamental to the knockback bit, but yeah, let's go with repels. Should part of the description. Titania repels a creature it can see within 90 feet. The target must make a strength saving throw. DC is 16. On a failed save, the creature is thrown back up to 30 feet or until it hits a solid object and takes some amount of bludgeoning damage. On a successful save, a creature is pushed back only 5 feet and takes no damage. Let's see. It's thrown back up to 30 feet or until it hits a solid object, singular. Falls prone and takes a bludgeoning damage. Yeah. The communication and people to play with the biggest roadblocks. Oh yeah. D&D 100%. The single biggest difficulty in playing the game is having people to play with. People that you get on well enough with to play with. Naturally, if those people are uncommunicative arseholes, you're not going to have a fun time. Don't play with them. Yeah, that is the number one issue in playing D&D. Finding the people. Although I know that one. In the space vacated by the target, the spell creates... There it is, it's flipped over to the next thing. I do definitely need a new page. Alright, whatever. I knew it was coming. I've got space for a Titania graphic, it's fine. In the space vacated by the target, the spell creates an illusory... No. Not necessarily illusory. No, creates a translucent hovering copy of the target. Visibly made of glowing dust. There we are. That covers it. In the space vacated by target, the spell creates a translucent hovering copy of the target visibly made of glowing dust. Titania or one of its allies may enter the space to absorb the dust, gaining one of the benefits below chosen by Titania on casting. A creature may use an action to disperse the dust to prevent it being absorbed. To grant counterplay. Who doesn't like a little bit of counterplay being written into a spell, eh? So the options that they have are well, let's indent it if possible. Oh, that's not going to indent in the way that I want it to. How can I? That is not going to do what I want, I think. No, I don't want a table like that. I just wanted to... I was looking for a bulleted list, preferably that has an indent to it. I don't think I'm going to get an indent. Yeah, I don't think I remember how to get an indent, so I'll just leave it without one. That could be for later pass. Right then, so 3 buffs I said I was going to go for will be Thorns. The target gains resistance to all damage until the end of its next turn. Sorry, the creature, not target, creature. And any damage it receives, any creature that damages it takes equal damage themselves. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Forced line break. So then we've got dust, which is the accuracy one. The creature gains the benefits of the dodge action for free till the end of its next turn. So the dodge action means that any attacks against you have disadvantage, and you have advantage to save on dexterity saves, which is effectively the same as reducing the accuracy of your enemies for a bit. Then the final one, which is Entangle. The Entangle buff aura slows down the movements of enemies within range. Okay. I am specifying this is per creature, but the actual offering... Let's see. Left in place near where the target hits as a replica. If Titania picks it up, it grants the buff in an aura. It doesn't allow allies to pick it up, does it? Now I think about it. Do I make it an aura? That Titania can pick up? Or an individual buff that any ally can pick up? That's a toughie. That is a toughie. I think in Warframe it's allowed to be an aura, and such a powerful one, because of just how powerful Warframes are in general. And again, as players, you're supposed to be winning. I can't apply a smaller accuracy debuff without it being able to scale and become broken due to bounded accuracy. The disadvantage through dodge is kind of the least problematic accuracy debuff. Likewise, Thorns. Resistance to one target is already impressive. Resistance to everyone in a group for duration will be a lot. But he's saying Titania full buff, force enemies a reduced version. What? Titania and allies, I presume you mean. 2-tier system can work, risky. My issue with Thorns and Dust is just the sheer scaling of it. So think of it this way. If I put... hello, Stream Elements. I've been live for a while. Did it only just... Oh shit, it's only just realised I'm live. Okay. Sure, I've been live for an hour and so. Sure. Anyway, moving on from that. So yeah, it's a sheer scaling. In Warframe, if we gain 50% damage reduction, it's cool, it's 50% damage reduction. It's not amazing, but you'll take it. And if you reflect 50% of the damage enemies do to you back to them, well, our hit points are like that much, and enemies' hit points are that much, so it doesn't really matter. This is why a lot of people just don't really care about the ability, because those two stats are actually kind of shit. Let's be truthful about it. It is pretty pants. If you can buff it up, I don't know if you even can buff up those values. Can you buff up the value? Or is not affected by mods. Yeah, so you can't even buff it up. You just get 50%, 50%, that's it. Now in D&D, it's much more on the level with each other. So if Titania reflects half the damage that players are dealing, and resists half the damage incoming, that's already huge. Do that to all her allies in a group, even for a single round, that's one hell of a swing. Yeah. Oh, does it work on defense objectives, Zom? Okay, yeah, I suppose that makes sense. I just never actually considered about it working on defense objectives. Yeah, fair point. So really, it's only then that it matters to. Yeah. Now, same is true with Dust. In Warframe, it's a 50% accuracy debuff. So enemies are half as likely to be able to hit you. Disadvantage is kind of that, but I can't make it go any further. And if you apply that to the entire group at once, that's going to be frustrating for the players. Imagine everyone for an entire round having disadvantage on every attempt to do damage. It's just going to feel a bit pants. Whereas if it's single target, there's a little bit more target selection that could be involved. KBMB was saying, Titania flying around to pick up the buffs herself would fit her fantasy pretty well when she's in Razorwing. She doesn't have Razorwing until her Prime. So I can't design something around a Prime ability that she's not going to have at the Adept. I had the same issue with the Mesa design, that Mesa's entire concept is gun, pew 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 pew, but that only exists on the 4th ability. So all the bits up to that point need to stand on their own. Or work with low level stuff. Ray says, so would adding the different aspects as options as you get higher tiers? I'm sorry, I don't even know what it is you're suggesting there, Ray. Are you saying that... just not allowing Dust or Thorns or other options until Master and Prime? Would still run into the same balancing issues. Kicking it down the road doesn't get rid of the balance, it just says that a high level player has to deal with that balance. The worst way for a player to be told to counter a spell is literally counter spell. I much prefer things where the players have a challenge they need to overcome, rather than a challenge that goes, nope, things are just going to suck now. Yeah. No, I am going to leave this as on the individual. I know that the Warframe ability is an aura around Titania specifically, and it's a big aura as well, 35 meter radius. And is that a base? It's a fixed aura range, not affected by mods according to the wiki. But yeah, 35 meters, that is, roughly speaking, it's over 100 feet, right? Yes. Well over 100 feet. So that would be pretty much encounter covering in most cases. Excuse me. In most cases. No. No, I'm not going to go down that road. A creature can go grab a buff and enjoy that buff freely until end of its next turn. That should be sufficient. Yeah. Which means then, for the slow one... Could have it where, when the creature picks it up, non-friendly creatures in range have their speed reduced by 10 feet. It's a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. But enough to kind of turn the tide slightly. Is that even worthwhile? Quite frankly. I don't want it to be a save. I don't want there to be loads of saves attached to this one cast. And it's not a benefit then, it's a negative being applied to someone else. Actually, I can invert it then. That's what I can do. Rather than it slowing down the enemies, speed up the ally. So that one, I'm actually going to change up the name. So the name is Entangle, but I'm going for the opposite. And Full Moon I'm dropping. So let's co-opt Full Moon for that one. And someone who's a Warframe veteran will just have to get confused by it. The creature's speed increases by 20 feet until the end of its next turn. Yeah, that should be balanced. The bonus action, target a creature, whabam, it gets thrown back, it's going to take some damage, it leaves a copy made of dust in its place. Titania or an ally can go up to that, just step into that space, gain the buff, either Thorns, Dust, or Full Moon. Thorns for resistance and reflection, Dust for dodge, Full Moon for a speed buff. Which is kind of countering a counter way of doing the speed debuff on enemies. I think that should work. And a minimum of dice rolling. That is good. Alright, so now in terms in terms of the rest, let's come down here. Got these powers. Spellbind, we'll still leave that 3rd level for now. Or do I rank up anything? What do I want to do with it? I'm not sure. Yeah, let's give it a longer cast range. So we'll go from 60 to 90. We'll make it 4th level. Still single cast. So now it counters spells up to 4th itself. And we'll give 2 casts of Tribute. Which I'll also make 4th level. Because it's definitely not 5th level. And the effect of this does not qualify for 5th level, but the bonus action nature of it, the repositioning of an enemy, the damage, and the buff, I think that equates to a 4th level. Just about. Because it's also short duration on everything. So that'll be fine. Multi-attack, 2 attacks with its short sword. The short sword and the rest of it is a +8 to hit. The damage by default is a +4 now, so that's just a 7. And this goes up to a 6. Not 60, 6. There we go. So in terms of output then, I can fiddle with the poison damage as needed. For a creature of this tier, typically we'll be wanting a 45 damage per round output. Now we've got some very non-damaging but very effective abilities in here, so we're going to bring that down. Tribute can be cast twice. So if I give the tribute... Yeah, if I give the tribute, say, 35 damage... I mean, for that kind of ballpark, how can I get 35 cleanly? 35 damage would be... 10d6? Yeah, 10d6, because that's 5 lots of 7, yeah. So it takes 35, 10d6 bludgeoning damage on a failed save. On a successful save, the creature takes no damage. But it's still moved by 5 feet rather than the 30. Yep. That gives us a lot of the damage output. And then we've got 10, 20, 6 per full turn using multi-attack and dagger bonus action. Let's see how that all comes out then. We can go Tribute Blap something. That's 35 damage. We've got the resistance effect available. Needs to be picked up, but is very able to be picked up. That might still be too much damage, actually. 35, and then we got the short sword can be swung twice as an action for a total of 20. We could do that twice. And then on the final turn, we could have, from a damage output perspective, just 2 more short swords and a dagger, which would be 26. And that comes out to 45. No, that is too much. That's well too much. I need to bring that down. Let's drop that down to 66. Why 120 HP? Should be 117. I've not done that bit yet. Also, how have you come to the figure of 117? Have you done... You didn't do 13 times 8. How did you figure it'd be 117? What it will be, seeing as you want me to approach that, will be a 22d8 plus 22, so it'll be 121. There we are. Con? Okay, that is not an entire equation, so I'm going to assume you don't know how to figure out the hit points for a monster. Because in explaining how you figured it out, you just said con. 13 times 8 plus 13. Excellent. Yep, you don't know how hit points work. Sorry to let you know on that. The hit dice next to a monster's tier, the hit points is the average of that roll. What you saw there was just the placeholder carried over from the initiate, because I hadn't got around to doing that bit as yet. Yeah. It's, the 120 is, I want it to be about 120 for its tier. Just hadn't got around to figure out the number for it, that was all. I have a processor going through these. But yeah, you don't just multiply those together and then add whatever's on the end. Betsy, cheers! Welcome in anyway, Pillow. Hope you enjoy seeing the rest of it come together. Right, that 35, that's well too much. I'm going to bring this down, 66. Let's do that. You did the medium first, but then I saw that it was far away. Right, median. Right, yeah. We thought I had to maximize. Okay, I see where you're coming from, BP. I see where you're coming from. Without any of the information about how any of these come together, I can see how you got to your answer. But yeah. It wasn't so much wrong as just not yet got to. This is all being created live. So, where did I just change that? 66. So that is going to be now 21. It's doing those same numbers from earlier. 21. Comes out to 36 per round. That is much more on the level I want it to be. 36 per round. That'll put it as a challenge rating 6 damage output. But then we've got all the ancillary benefits coming in as well. Yeah, that's much fairer. That is much fairer. Alright, cool. 66 damage outputs. That is a second level spell in itself. Think like Scorching Ray. It's got the range of it as well. We're hitting a strength save, which is an unusual save. Because the usual saves are Dex, Whiz, and Con. Yeah. Those are standard saves. So we're hitting an unusual save. We're hitting it for second level spell damage. We are then also having a crowd control effect of the knockback and prone. And we've then got the buff. Yeah, that's a 4th level spell. Good. Good. Good, 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 good. I am satisfied with how that all comes together, yes. Right then, I am missing the saving throw in here. Saving throws. I think Titania should have Charisma as the first saving throw proficiency. Simply because kind of pixie approach. Pixies getting beguiled? Nah. So, Charisma save. Let's go with that. I know it's not about beguiling, it's more about planar stability. Still works. Right. I think that is a finished stat block. Trying to fake creature makes sense? It does, yeah. I've not made it Fey. I'm keeping Titania as a monstrosity rather than a Fey, fitting with all the other Warframes. I'm not making them into different creature types, but from a Fey theme, yes. Just wanted to be clear on that distinction there. Fey inspired, yeah, very much, Gab, very much. We're on the same level. We are seeing eye to eye on that one. Right, I did not put the slash in there. Let's do that. There we go. Pop this in. Look at that, it's another adept. Can this please go away? Thank you. Time to do the Master, Tier 1. Okay. For the Master, we aim for challenge rating 14, which is XP 11,500, proficiency plus 5. The armor class will be going up to 17 standard. Hit points, I'll be aiming for 195-ish. Speed is now at 45 feet. And my quick stats say I want 5 plus 1s applied to the values here. I'm going to skip the strength. I'm going I'll skip the con. Yeah. It's 12, 21, skip the con, 21, 16, and 13. There we are. That gives appropriate stat array. Charisma save has now climbed up to a 6. Acrobatics is a 10. Arcana is a 10. Deception is a 6. Fourth skill? Actually, you know what? Rather than fourth skill, Deception, let's increase that to Expertise, which will make this an 11. Just slightly more curious. Seems we know the con is going to be a plus 1. Hit points, might as well do that now before we confuse everyone else. So it's going to be 195 divided by 5.5, 35-ish. So 35, 5.5 is 192. Boom. And that's how you do that. Right. Enhanced bullet jump has changed, has it not? Yes. So that's now for 12 and 36 feet. Spellbind, DC on that is going to have climbed. It is now 18. DC on this is climbed. It is now 18. No other DCs there. DC on this is 18. Cool. So now we have Lantern. Lantern. I'll be honest, this is another ability where my memory doesn't quite fully do it justice. So, Titania refuses an enemy with a mesmerizing light from a distance, causing it to hover in place with a swarm of razor flies. The lantern source becomes invulnerable and unable to move or attack for the duration. Yeah, we're not doing that. Enemies that come within a range are pacified and blindly follow the target, as long as they remain within range. Curious. Enemies within a short distance of the lantern will be dealt heat damage every second. And then on deactivation, exploration, or being dispelled, all lanterns explode. Okie dokie. Okay. Now, again, I'm very much against taking entire turns away from players. I really am thoroughly against it. I will occasionally use it here or there, but mostly the extent I'll go to is things like Restrained. This is a toughie then to implement because it is so beguiling. Well, first of all, lock up one target in Warframe itself, and then just lock down so many others in the process. What we could do is mitigate it by having it a expenditure of movement alone. So main target becomes restrained and glowing. Other targets within range, so secondary targets, wisdom save, if charmed by the effect, need to then use their movement to approach the target. And then Titania may, at a moment of its choosing, end the cast. Boom. So we can make Lantern concentration, in fact. So they lose their movement effectively. They're forced to walk towards it, but they can still do other actions, spellcasting, whatnot, to kind of mitigate it. Is a Fascinator resistible effect? In what system? What are you talking about, Blind Guy? You're saying Fascinate like it exists as a key term in 5th edition, and I don't think it does. No, it's not any part of 5th edition official materials that I'm familiar with. And as much as things may be resistible, that's where you get save or suck. So if it is an effect which... that's fine, Blago. If it was an effect which makes it where someone has to spend their turn doing something unless they saved against the effect, that's save or suck. And the problem with save or suck is that, well, it sucks. You get the low number, you're like, oh, so I just lose my turn. DM just nods, goes, yep, your turn is wasted. Oh, cool. Especially when you consider how slow it can be. If you've got a full group of players and you've got multiple monsters on the field, a whole round can be like 20 minutes. So if someone loses their turn, it's going to be 40 minutes from one turn they can play to the next. And as much as 20 minutes might sound like a slow round for a lot of people, it's not that slow for a lot of others. When you've got enough characters on the field, enough things going on, enough questions being thrown around of, oh, what can I do? What dice do I need to roll for that? What is my AC again? Where is it on my sheet? I'm like, for the love of God, how many sessions have you been playing this game? It's on the same spot it was last week. When you account for those kinds of people, losing a whole turn sucks. It just does. So yeah, I think sacking the movement of others nearby if they fail the wisdom save without taking away the turn, I think that should cover it safely, while still being enough of a controlling effect. Those people deserve losing their turn. It's all well and good to have that generalized opinion, but that doesn't work when you're actually playing with friends and some of them are just a little bit slower. You can get frustrated all you like, but the difference is not playing with friends. Yeah, I can make it creatures that can see the target. Yeah, I can use that wording, which means then something that blocks vision will prevent them from being beguiled. Yeah, absolutely. It'd still be resource expenditure, and doing so would also obscure their vision of other things. But yeah. Go ahead, not toss Beguiling Lantern into legendary action. What? Sorry, first of all, Beguiling Lantern, just the lantern, right? The spell Lantern. Secondly, all spells are supposed to be spells to be cast. Legendary actions to cast the entirety of Lantern? I'm not sure you're familiar with Lantern from Warframe at that point, to be very honest with you. Yeah. I'm going to start putting this together. Spell. This is going to be, for the strength of it, one action. 1 minute, maximum duration, and concentration. That should be capitalized. Concentration. The full shebang of spell tags right there. But like I was saying, that would make it so it turns for arm, save or suck 2, there's a chance to negate through action. Combine that with it being concentrate effect, it might be good balance. Other actions could Titania do if she's having to concentrate. Well, with concentrate, again, blind guy, you're thinking 3rd edition. Concentration in 5th edition doesn't mean you channel the spell. Concentration means you cannot use other things that require concentration, such as casting another concentrate spell. Otherwise, you lose this one. And if you were to have your concentration broken, such as taking a hit and failing the con save, then the spell drops. It doesn't stop you from doing other things. Yeah. Again, 5e, streamlined. Concentration is just a tag you must hold this, rather than a you are now channeling this. That would be channel, which is very rare. Alright, spell, 1 action, 1 minute, concentration. Titania. Titania traps a creature it can see within. Let's give this a good range of 120 feet. Yeah, morning, Penguin. It's going well. Hope you're doing well yourself. Would the lantern still blow up if Titania loses her concentration? Yes. Yes, we'll start the lantern blow up. If Titania loses her concentration at the wrong moment, boom. So if Titania sees, oh crap, they're about to get out of the zone, I need to use it now, drops concentration. Which adds to the threat of it. The players are getting to keep most of their turn, but by letting themselves walk into the area, boom. So yeah, if concentration drops, lantern still blows up. Yeah. It's meant to be a threat. There's a promise that if you are here, then at any moment, she can make your life a misery. That's the idea. So, Titania traps a creature it can see within 120 feet in a swarm of razor flies. Capitalize? Well, not capitalize. Capitalize. Razor flies. Fair enough, Doran. If you're not sure of how I'm turning something in Warframe into a D&D spell, I would strongly recommend seeing what I do first and then considering what tweaks might need to be made or suggestions you have. Whereas if I barely begin to write an aspect and you decide the best suggestion is to change it from being a whole spell into a completely different thing, we're probably not on the same wavelength. Best to see what's happening first, then react to that. Titania traps a creature it can see within 120 feet in a swarm of razorflies. The target must make a saving throw. Yeah, let's go Wisdom. Wisdom saving throw. The DC is currently at 18. On a failed saving throw, the creature is restrained. Dropping concentration being an attack is cruel. It is, but it works so well. I think, doesn't Delayed Fireball do the same? Delayed Fireball 5e. Delayed Blast Fireball, my apologies. Concentration up to 1 minute. Yeah, it does the same thing. It does the same thing. So Delayed Blast Fireball plus some crowd control effect on it. But probably for lower damage. We'll see. Might go higher. I'm going to use that actually as a very strong balancing point. Now I'm looking at it. One action, 150 foot range, 20 foot radius on the explosion, 12d6 damage plus 1d6 per turn, which is one of those rare ones where it tracks turns. Yeah. Alright then. Where was I up to? Target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed saving throw, the creature is restrained. Restrained by the razor flies. And begins to emit a warm glow of a lantern. So emit the warm glow. The warm glow of a lantern. On a successful saving throw, the spell fails. We'll just have it fail, fuck it. I'm not going to get complicated with this, there's only so much space to write into. On a successful saving throw, the spell fails. Done. You do Delayed Fireball wasn't in 5e? Oh, well, right. So it is restrained. For the spell duration, a non-friendly creature that starts its turn within 30 feet, or comes within 30 feet of the target. Yeah, for the spell duration, non-friendly creature starts its turn within 30 feet of the target, or comes within this range the first time on a turn. On its turn. I need an if. For the spell duration, if a non-friendly creature starts its turn within 30 feet of the target, or comes within this range for the first time on its turn, it must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it must use its movement to approach the target as closely as close as possible. Yeah, I think that's clear enough, right? Non-friendly is hostile in 5e? No, it isn't. Non-friendly is non-friendly. Because you got friendly, hostile, and neutral. I use the non-friendly terminology so that Titania can not affect her allies, but anyone who is fighting Titania, or anyone who doesn't want anything to do with Titania, is just trying to get away, is still a target. That's why I use the terminology non-friendly rather than hostile. So I started out with that mistake on some of the earlier frames as well, and that's part of what I've changed at some point during the creation of this document, to make it where someone can't just be, I've got nothing to do with this warframe, therefore I'm not hostile, therefore I'm not a target. You're a target. Warframes will kill anyone that gets in their way of loot. Okay, thought Titania can choose to not explode the target, but it has to be an active choice if concentration is broken. Boom. Reason would be to give explicit rules, give a way to give the GMs an out if they want the party to just be positioned rather than dead. Yeah, so I can have it when the spell ends, or when the spell would end, Titania may detonate the Razorflies. Yeah. And exactly, Blanco, yeah. If something can be killed, and a Warframe thinks it'll get value from that kill, it will kill them. Which means that its features have to be able to target non-hostiles. Exactly, Penguin, yeah, exactly. Alright, so, on a failed save, it must use its movement to approach the target as closely as possible. As closely as possible, yeah. No, let's rephrase that. On a failed save, it must use its movement No, that's fine. That is fine, yeah. For the spell duration, if a non-friendly creature starts its turn within 30 feet of the target, or comes within this range for the first time on its turn, it must make a whiz save. On a fail, it must use its movement to approach the target as closely as possible that turn. Little bit of specificity that turn. When the spell would end, Titania may choose to detonate the Razorflies around the target. If it does, all non-friendly, again, so hostiles and neutrals, all non-friendly creatures within, I'm just going to go 10 feet. So that is going to be smaller than the delayed blast fireball, but it's got that dragging effect from the 30 feet. So if it does, all non-friendly creatures within 10 feet of the target must make a dexterity saving throw, DC 18. On a failed save, the target takes some amount of fire damage, or half as much on a success. Yeah. So I've got to figure out the amount of damage on that, but I can get back to that. So this gives us a lantern, spell, 1 action, 1 minute concentration. Titania traps a creature? How did that slip through and no one called me out on it? Titania traps a creature it can see within 120 feet in a swarm of razor flies. The target must make a wisdom saving throw, DC 18. On a failed saving throw, the creature is restrained by the razor flies and begins to emit the warm glow of a lantern. On a successful saving throw, the spell fails. For the spell duration, if a non-friendly creature starts its turn within 30 feet of the target, or comes within this range for the first time on its turn, it must make a wisdom saving throw, DC 18. On a failed save, I don't like using it too many times over. On a failed save, the creature must use its movement to approach the target as closely as possible that turn. When the spell would end, which is whether spell runs out of time, or is being dispelled or whatnot, or is concentration dropping, when that spell would end, Titania may choose to detonate the razor flies around the target. If it does, all non-friendly creatures within 10 feet of the target must make a dex save. Excuse me. On a failed save, the target takes some amount of fire damage, or half as much on a success. Meister Gandalf asking, Titania cast for dex? No, it says right here, Titania's void power abilities intelligence. Or over here if you look at this side of the screen. Not sure where you got the dex from. A dexterity saving throw is not Titania's casted with dex, the creatures are using dex to try and avoid the fire. They have to react quick enough to brace against the flames to reduce the damage. And certain classes can doubly reduce it down to 0. Didn't see 21 int? Yeah. Warframes are by and large intelligent creatures, and I've done that for a few reasons. One, learned abilities. They've had to learn how to use their void powers, so it's very much a learned thing, which is why the higher tiers are so much more powerful. 2, it means that the monsters are smart. The DM has every excuse to play them tactically all the way through. And 3, it's different, damn it. There are too many monsters which are thick as shit. Warframes are not. They're terrifying. They're dangerous. They will kill you 5 ways to Sunday, but they ain't dumb about it. They are doing it fully aware as to the ramifications, and they don't give a damn. Or rather, they give a damn about looting your corpse. So yeah, Warframes are by and large smart. How smart varies, but they're smart. That's why all of them cast with intelligence. Anywho. Warframes mercs, lore sucks. What? Doran, you're going off on one and I'm not sure where you're going with it. Alright. So with the blueprint of this all set up, let's adjust the stats down here and then we can figure out where the damage needs to lie. So this is a +10 to hit for an 8 plus 5. This is a +10 to hit for a 7 because it's plus... Ooh, lost the space. Because it's a +5. None of that needs to change otherwise. That is all good.
Ooh. 1064 days. Always great content, dude.
Albert Rallo, thank you very much for continuing your support here. I absolutely appreciate that. 35 months. I swear we were talking not that long ago and you told me you'd hit 3 years. I'm seeing 1 month off of that. You lied to me when we were speaking earlier. Oh, you were mistaken. Probably that. All the same, Hobbit, thank you very much for the 1064 days. Here's to a 3-year anniversary next month, eh? Cheers. No one else has a sub streak that long. No one else has, and no one else will have a streak as long as Hobbits at any point. Actually not possible. 10 literally murder hobos? Oh yeah. If they see value in killing, they're gonna kill. Hence, neutral evil. They're not chaotic evil. They don't go out killing and murdering sheerly for the fun of it. I mean, some might, but you know, we ignore those cases for now. By and large, it's for a personal gain. The Tenor Mercs? Yeah, the Tenor Mercs. Yeah, we know that. It's very obvious in Warframe's design, the Tenor Mercs. Tenor the Rouge stereotype? I mean, there can be various colours. They don't just have to be rouge. You know, you can have a cerulean one, you can have a teal one, canary yellow one, crimson one. Yes, I'm wicked about it, but it's so common to see rogue spelled as rouge. It's ridiculously common. I mean, never mind the words flanking it were also incorrect, but whatever. I'm going to call out the rouge. Dear, anyway. Terrifying to think about. They don't have a side. They just exist because they're good at what they do. Yep. Yep. In my intro blurb to the Warframes, I basically equate them to dragons. Their horde is not unlike that of a dragon, both in its wealth and its defences. Warframes have a particular affinity for collecting powerful magical weapons and armour, or the resources to create more. Straight up. They are akin to evil dragons. Straight up. Side question. Which Warframe has been the most difficult in recreating within 5e? So far, Sevagoth. Because I ended up having to create 9 stat blocks for him. 9. So yeah, Sevagoth. Closely followed by Mesa. Because Mesa's theme is kind of hard to sell in her first 3 abilities. The gun theme doesn't exist in her first ballistic battery. Where's the gun? In, I forget the name of it now. The one that goes around. No gun. Third one, Shadow Shield, no gun. Where's the gun? 9 stat blocks for Seva seems right. Well, it was Sevagoth Initiate, Adept, Master, Prime. Dying Shadow, his passive, Initiate, Adept, Master, Prime, because it needs its own stat block to properly represent it. And then there's the Exalted Shadow for the 9th, which is only on the Prime. 9 stat blocks. So it turns out that Warframes require as many stat blocks as they require Former. The more you know. The more you know. So daft. Anyway, damage outputs. Let's have a look at where we are at here. So, Lantern is a action. We still have the bonus action of the dagger, so we'll count that into all of it. So with that then, I'm tempted to give... Oh, I've done the... Oops, I didn't do the spellcasting correct here. That needs a line break. There we go. Anyway, I'm tempted to give 2 casts of Lantern. I really am tempted to give 2 casts of it. Which might be dangerous, but could also work out. Exalted weapon carriers don't count. Exalted weapons, by and large, have not needed a second block because the Exalted weapons spell covers it. But for the Sevagoth Exalted form, it's an entirely new body. It leaves the old one behind, which I've made not immortal, by the way. It leaves the entire one behind. You get a whole new one. It is a large creature. It is more of a ghostly spectre, so I've made it an undead. I've given it a different set of ability scores. I've given it a different amount of hit points, which does also mean that Sevagoth Prime, by the way, has an absolute chonk load of hit points. It just needs the opportunity to use them. It also can't cast its ability straight out the gate. It needs to have done a total of 70 damage and or healing before it can cast its 4th ability, filling up the death well. There's more of a heckle? Look, we don't heckle around here. If you heckle, I ain't gonna hear it. I ain't gonna see it. I'm just seeing either attempts at being funny and failing, or genuine criticism slash considerations. But there's no in between. Text doesn't translate that well. Cora's up there as well, right? Cora was an interesting one to do, yeah. Yeah, so Cora has got Venari, so that's a 5th stat block over there. Caliban's got one for the Conquerist. Atlas has one for the Rumblers. Those things. Right, let's see. Yeah, so damage output. Now, let's see. For a Challenge 14 creature, the average damage output will be 70. Again, Titania needs to be on the lower end of that because of all the things she can do. So that means this is a movement sack and therefore a threat to action economy. A significant one, no less. And we're keeping the damage on dropping concentration. So I'm going to aim for considerably less damage output per round. But I still want to give 2 cats on the lantern. I think that would be cool. Honestly, just give it the power. That devastating moment, holding it there is like, do you want to mess with me? I could detonate this at any moment. You want to mess with me? Yeah. So let's see. If I aim then for 30 damage per target with the lantern, because just general balancing, you always assume 2 characters get hit. So if I go for 30 damage per target, that should do the trick, because that'll be 60 damage from the cast, 2 casts of it, 2 lots of 60 damage, and then the third turn can be a bonus action tribute and actions of attacking, or it could be a spellbind and a bonus. Something like that. That should balance out. And for anyone concerned about Tribute being a bonus action and Lantern being an action, you can't cast both on the same turn. That's just spellcasting rules. I mention it at the front page of this because people forget that all the time. So yeah, 30 fire damage. That'll be the aim. 30. How can I best get that? I could go with the d6s again. Just really rack up the d6s. Why not? Hell, why not? Yeah. 66 is 21, so 8d6 would be 28. I could go that far, just 8d6, slightly below 30. 8d6. That sounds fun. Where was it? 28, 8d6. Fire damage, or half as much on a success. Yeah. This your second favourite Warframe? Nice! Because, of course, your first favourite is Lavos, right? Very understandable. Absolutely. Yeah, that should do the trick. So, 2 per short rest, Tribute, and then we're going to go with Lantern. This is... So, it's kind of delayed Blast Fireball, isn't it? So... But it's not got the same damage, because I've got 8d6, whereas Delayed Blast is 12d6 and scaling. So, I'm only going to go 6th level on this. It's not got the same level of damage, not got the same AoE, but it has got a riding effect. I'm going to go with the 6th level. I think that's fair enough. With the rest of it then, we've got Spellbind and Tribute. Tribute, I'm not going to increase the damage stats on, and the rest of it doesn't need buffing either. So we'll leave that as is 4th level. Spellbind... Spellbind, I'm going to increase the range on it to 120 feet and increase the level to 5th level. Just so it counters even more stuff. You ready? It's your favourite? Oh, well, I tried. No saving all of them. No saving all of them. Oh dear. I mean, on the one hand, I don't actually dislike Urani that much. I just kind of go with the generalized hate, but she's been improved a lot. At the same time, it is impressive the number of people that look at the Wave Rider quest and go, oh no, that's too hard. I can't do that one. Nope, too hard. It's like, my guy, you can do everything else in Warframe. You can master all the other Warframes. You can do all the other quests. can handle all of that. Railjack, Arkwing gameplay. You can go through Deviri, you can do all that stuff, but you get to Wave Rider. No, nope. It's too hard for me. Some people just ain't trying. Some people just ain't trying. That's what it is. You ready to chill frame? Everyone's an individual. Let's go with that. Everyone's an individual, Hailstorm. What have I got to say about Limbo mains? Not much, really. Keep chilling in the Rift. Make sure you don't math yourself into non-existence. It hurts.
Haven't done Wave Rider, but I solved that the same way I do most things. Dosh.
Perfectly valid way of doing it. Perfectly valid way. Diabetic Homer. Betty, thank you very much for the 1,000 bits. I do appreciate that. Cheers to you, my dude. Cheers indeed. And also, cheers for signing up on Patreon. I haven't actually mentioned it here on stream yet with you. I don't normally need to, but all the same, thank you very much for signing up on Patreon as well there, Betty. Betty here, for anyone who hasn't noticed on the Discord, doesn't care to see the details, has signed up at the top tier of it, no less. So that is, well, that's literally infinity. Thank you, Betty. Yeah, like I said, did Wave Rider quest as Eurali. Well, now that's cheating. No. You're supposed to fall off the K-Drive 20,000 times during the quest and get frustrated as hell with it. So when you get Eurali and you don't fall off, you go, oh, this is amazing. Basically cheating. Good to try here. Just watched your recent levels video. Also a bit of a levels fan. Built mine based on your guide from about 2 years ago. I was just wondering, have you changed it at all with Arkham mods? Did recently it makes him less tanky, but damage is insane. The only change I've made was to switch out Prime continuity for Archon continuity. That's it. That is it. Did I know that the Infinity seats come with cup holders? This is some absurdism I don't get. Yeah. You did that on the Fire one. Okay, so you did Archon Vitality. I mean, that's fair enough. I prefer having the more significant tank. I absolutely get the Archon Vitality. You get extra heat proc if you infuse heat on 1, 2, and 3, I believe. And you'll get 1 extra heat proc. Not 2, 1 on the use of the 4th, even if you infuse heat. So yeah, you will get the additional heat damage output there. That is absolutely part of it. Personally, I've not found myself relying enough on the damage output of the 4th to want to go down that road. But if you are doing that, then yeah, sure, go for it. Why not? I prefer having the triple umbral power. That sheer tank is undeniably good. Quite frankly, it's just strong. Can this thing piss off? Please. This document is so big that it thinks someone else is editing it. I've checked and triple checked, no one else is nor can. It just confuses the home brewery. It's not used to handling something which is 161 pages long. That's spicy. And it's still not done. Right, this is, I think, Titania complete. If you don't die, you can kill more things. True, but if you kill things quicker, you don't need to survive as well. You don't need as much tank. Like, I've got a setup I'm working on where... Well, let me pose this as a question to you guys. If you're in a Steel Path survival mission, you are solo, okay? You're using Rhino. You might think, okay, Rhino, Iron Skin, tank, we got this solved. No. Rhino, using Redirection as the only defensive mod on him. Yes, Redirection, the shield one. No Iron Skin, no defensive ability. Can he tank it? Rhino, Redirection, no defensive ability, no other defensive mods, so there's no adaptation, no rolling guard. Can he tank a Steel Path survival mission solo with that setup? And you'll probably be able to guess from the fact that I'm asking that the answer is yes. Doran's saying yeah, he could for a bit, indefinitely. Actually, indefinitely. What's better is that I could do that shield gate tanking as the primary defense there without brief respite, without the auger set. Without stomp either. Not using stomp. Just weapon buffs for the ability casts. I have the 20-minute recording of doing the Steel Path Survival, I think it was up on Sedna, using Rhino, redirection, weapon buffs only, no defensive abilities, only redirection defense mod, and maybe a certain additional companion setup. So it turns out that if you kill things quickly enough, you can tank with sod all. Impressively, to the point of misusing Rhino intentionally. Like, painfully wrong usage of Rhino. And I did it with Rhino, partly because I had a setup which just has a lot of weapon buffs, and partly because it makes a point of leaving Iron Skin untouched. Arca continuity works with levels. Is it worth? It works, and it's worth in that, hell, you're already using Prime continuity on the build, so why not just put it in there? The effect you'll notice overall is very minimal. So, Mad, thank you very much for dropping by, and I'm glad you enjoyed the content. Welcome on into the stream. Hope you enjoy your time here as well. Oh yeah, I'm still gathering the details to flesh out the fuller information, and otherwise to look at other setups beyond just, you know, dicking around with Rhino. But I intend for my next video, if I do things correctly, to be covering the things that include that. Not just that, but things that include that level of stupidity. Of tanking a Steel Path solo survival mission using just Rhino, redirection, and a shenanigan. Which I won't spoil. A thing. But it's stupid. And it works, but it's still stupid. D have given us a lot of stupid tools to work with recently. I can crash the game using a companion's weapon alone. That's some silly stuff. What was an autistic thing I found that broke the game the other day? Didn't watch YouTube, to be fair. Oh, well, Doran, I recommend you watch the video, but suffice to say, using Nautilus, Verglass, weapon buffing on it, so Rhino is very good for it, and just kind of parking yourself in a corner with that setup. It does some stupid stuff to the point that I managed to crash my game for 19 minutes the other day. 19 minutes it hung trying to figure out what the hell I just did. After which point the game then picked up again. The survival jumped from 4 minutes to 23 minutes, hence 19 minutes of hang. The life support had completely run out. Extraction was available, but when I got there, it didn't let me extract. Because I'd never got to the 5, 10, 15 or 20 minute mark. It just didn't. Extraction was there, and I couldn't use it. 5 minutes later, the mission is a failure. Just boots me out. Absolutely just took the game and smacked it with a hammer. If D took Lavos away, what would my new main be? No idea. Haven't thought about it because Lavos won't go away. So I can't give you an answer on that proper. But yeah. I've done some dirty stuff with Verglass. And all the details are in the video. I put it together intentionally. Watch it. Please don't do what others have done, which is go, yes, this looks like it could be interesting. I'm going to start skipping ahead, and then get confused, and now go back a bit, and now skip to somewhere else, and then come back to because I'm still confused. Just watch it in a straight line. I've watched people on stream bring it up and jump around, asking questions, then going back and realising, oh wait, I never would have had this question to ask if I just watched the video in freaking straight line. I go to all this effort. I make this lovely, nice meal. I give you the starter. I give you the main. I give you the dessert. This gorgeous accompaniment of a meal to indulge in on YouTube. And these people do the equivalent of storming in, half a Big Mac in their mouth, grabbing a spoon or something out the pot that I was, I'm still cooking it, going, "This doesn't make sense!" Like, you're telling me? What are you doing in my kitchen? Sit at the table properly and have it as I give it to you. This is probably how devs feel with their games, watching people just do it wrong and break it. Anyway, let's make Titania Prime. Because yeah, that was the master one. We're on to the Prime. Let's do this. Also, in case anyone's wondering about legendary actions, because that is indeed a thing, some Warframes have them, some do not. It is part of design variety, that some do and some don't. It's intentional. Blind guy, that hurts me. That hurts me. Yeah. Like I say, here is this wonderful steak dinner you made. They then grab the perfectly cooked steak, cook it till it's leather, slather it in ketchup, and then declare you can't cook. Yeah. It's like the people who tell me that they can't tank with Lavos. I'm like, how? How are you getting this so wrong? Lavos tanks. Lavos is one of the very best tanks in the game. If you can't tank with Lavos, what do you do? It confuses me. It does confuse me. But hey, to each their own. Let's start making Titania Prime. Hit points for a Prime tier should be... I'm going to make it about 270-ish. There we go. Speed, let's... take it to 50. Just 50. But she's going to have more speed. She's going to have more. Stats. Stats should be +1 to everything. That's nice and simple. I have no reason to deviate from the standard design for Warframe stat growth on this one, so I'm just happy to apply that all the way across the board. There we go. Save. Oh, I didn't add a saving throw up here, did I? Whoops. I'll go Wiz. And then on this one, it'll get Dex. Because I'm a monster. Dex. Wiz. Char. And I'll figure out the numbers in a sec. So we're going up to challenge rating 19. That is 22,000 experience. Proficiency of 6. So yeah, the Dex is now +12. That is monstrous. How dare. There we go, there we go. Acrobatics. So that has climbed up to a 12. Arcana has climbed to a 12. Deception is a 14. Because this one has expertise. And let's see. What skill to add on? Stealth. Let's be wicked. The thing that can go tiny also now has a stealth bonus of +12. Yep, that's fair and balanced. That is fair and balanced. Once per turn, Titania may turn a jump into a bullet jump, able to cover 4 times the distance of usual. So that is going to be a 20-foot vertical. Oh god, that's horrible. Or 14, 20, 56 horizontal. Jesus Christ. No, wait, yeah, that's correct. And that's still not as much as Styanax. Boy. This is now DC 20. A lot of primes have DC 20 on their save, so good luck. The commoner has a 1 in 20 chance of saving. So most commoners are just dead. Most commoners are just dead, yeah. This is all grand. Right then, any of the stats I want to adjust right now? Probably not. Why does Styanax jump so far? Because Styanax has a very high strength stat. We'll just scroll up to Styanax. So Styanax at the prime tier has 24 strength to Titania's 14. Which means that +7 would give you 7 + 3 feet for vertical. So that's normally 10 feet. Primes have triple that for a bullet jump, so 10 feet becomes 30. Horizontal is your strength score, normally, so that's 24 feet. Triple that becomes 72 feet. Styanax is just strong. Styanax is joint in a strength with Atlas. So both Atlas and Styanax have 24 strength at their max tier. And I think that's fair. Right? Styanax is relatively new, so might be overlooked for the offensive capabilities. People go, oh yeah, Atlas, punching asteroids. Styanax deserves it as well. He then has his trade-offs elsewhere, like lower charisma, having on the lower end of the wisdom, much more offense-focused throughout, rather than a control focus. It works out. He's a bit of offense support mix. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Doesn't Titania have an even more enhanced bullet jump as well? She does, yeah. Which is why, despite her strength, she's jumping as far as she is. Because her normal forms are giving her triple the distance rather than double. And her prime, she's getting quadruple rather than triple. So I've accounted for that by giving her enhanced bullet jump. Hence why it says enhanced bullet jump. I factored it in to account for the lack of strength in the character. But it's fine, she's still going to get flight now, so whatever. A Razor Wing. This is one that I'm not sure how to do exactly, but we're going to do it. One bonus action. How did I end up with a bonus? What? 1 minute. Oh yeah. Okie dokie. I'm not going to make this one concentration, so she can use it at the same time as Lantern to be an absolute menace, and just can't be knocked out of Razorwing directly. Titania shrinks down. Yeah, just shrinks down to a to tiny size, embodying its pixie-like design. In shrinking, while shrunk, Titania gains a fly speed of, let's go, yeah, 60 feet. Titania gains a fly speed of 60 feet. No enhancement division? No enhancement division, no. So Titania gains a fly speed of 60 feet. Loses access. Is unable to use its short sword and dagger. And instead gains access to the Duata and Dex Pixia actions. That should be have like A for actions. Do I want to make any other changes other than just give them the weaponry? I'm thinking of not including the Razorflies simply because of the added management for the DM. I might be able to add it in, but I'll consider it. I'm erring on the side of not at the moment. Let's see, so we got movement, evasion, it has an evasion. Razorfly seems like a headache. It could be, yeah. But I could also create Razorflies as a separate entity, as a swarm creature that the DM can control as well. So I can go both ways. That's what she said. I'll think on it. We'll come back to it. I don't really have a good spot to put it, so we'd have to take its own page. But it's manageable. It is manageable. So today we could also give the evasion bonus, so... I'm going to say, whilst in Razor Wing, its AC increases to 21. Just give it a little bit more toughness. Or give it resistance to damage, which is kind of reaching the same regard. Yeah, I could do that. And that is pretty much the entirety of what this does. It gives her flight. It gives her the Duata and the Dex Pixture. It gives her a little bit of evasion, makes her tiny. And that is pretty much all of the bits we need to consider. There's the interaction with Tribute. I'm not going to touch on that. That's video game level complexity. You don't do that. Moving freely, kills, relating to things doesn't matter. Non-interaction doesn't matter. We just won't restrict that. Yeah. I think that should be fine. Razorflies could be Cloud of Daggers reskin. They're part of this by itself, so not quite a Cloud of Daggers reskin, but still just occupying a space and attacking can be a thing. So you control them as a bonus action. They can fly autonomously. They could just have their own initiative. That initiative can be 5 after Titania's or 10 after Titania's. Yeah, I might say they get their initiative 10 below Titania's. Just to move them differently in the turn order. And then they just fly of their own accord to deal with threats to Titania. Or just things that Titania might want dead. Yeah. If I can fit it all in, which I probably can, without issue, I'll go down that road. So, Razor Wing. Titania shrinks down to tiny size, embodying its pixie-like design. While shrunk, Titania gains a fly speed of 60 feet, is unable to use a short sword and dagger, and instead gains access to Duata and Dex Pixture actions. In addition to this, Titania's AC increases to 21. Yep. And Titania conjures a swarm of razor flies. Creature. That acts independently on its own initiative at 10 below Titania. 10 below Titania's. To again have that split up. So Titania has an initiative of 12, then the Razorflies would act on initiative 2. Titania rolls 21, they have 11, and so forth. If Titania rolls below 10, treat it as a negative number, which means the Razorflies will just go dead last. So yeah, I'll create a stat block for them. They deserve it. So yeah, Titania shrinks down, tiny, fly speed, 60 foot, can't use short sword and dagger, gains access to water and Expixia. In addition to this, Titania's AC increases 21, and Titania conjures a swarm of Razorflies. Cool. at any point, Titania may end this spell freely. Returning to its normal size and statistics. If Titania is unable to fit in its space, it is ejected to the nearest unoccupied space it can fit into, taking taking 10 force damage per 5 feet of forced movement. The swarm of razorflies vanish into dust. Yeah, just into dust. Yep, that's fine. So, at any point, Titania may end the spell freely, returning to its normal size and statistics. If Titania is unable to fit into its space, it is ejected to the nearest unoccupied space, takes some force damage, and the swarm just vanishes. And it turns into her. It's what I do with size changing stuff in general. If you are forced to a larger size than you would fit, you're ejected magically to a space you're allowed to be in, but it's going to damage the hell out of you in the process. Because otherwise it leads into all kinds of questions and considerations of, oh, well, can she untransform while she's inside of a pipe? Does it maintain the spell until she leaves the pipe? Does she damage the pipe? Does the pipe damage her? What breaks first? How much damage is involved? Does she become puree? No, she magically ends up somewhere else and takes damage. Done. Usually not considered? Yeah. It's always worth considering these kinds of things, because it can lead to all kinds of issues otherwise, as I just outlined. But yeah. I think ahead of me. Right then, so with this then, she's got that. We can have these bits and pieces here. I'm going to give her, like most of the rest of her kit, I'm going to give her 2 casts of this. So she can have her Razor Wing twice over. And I'll figure out the level in a moment. Yeah. I'll figure out the level. I don't think I want to increase the Spellbind Tribute or any of that lot, so we'll be fine there. Razor Wing as a bonus action prevents her using Tribute on the same turn. Well, she can't use spells on the same turn anyway. So she'll be down to whatever she can get from other stuff. Yeah, should be fine there. So, multi-attack. Titania makes 2 attacks with its short sword. We'll cover all details on that in a moment. Short sword, which is normal form only. Dagger, normal form only. It's really important to give that distinction for DMs. To just quick reference, oh right, she's in another mode, must remember, can't do that. Quick strike. Titania makes an attack with its dagger. I might co-opt that to be dagger or Diwata. We'll figure that out in a moment. We'll see what all numbers come out to, how I'm happy with it. Yeah, no, these aren't cantrips, absolutely, Doran, yeah. There are some frames which have cantrips. They're just listed as spell actions. So if I go, for example, Sevagoth, this was part of the design headache, is that Sevagoth's actions, he's got his claws, just normal Sevagoth, not the giant shadow. Normal Sevagoth also has a claw attack, but it's much weaker. But that's just a melee attack. So I've given Sevagoth the Epitaph. Epitaph Curse, a ranged spell attack, plus 12 to hit, range of 30 feet, so it doesn't go very far. 3 targets, or up to 3 targets, within 5 feet of each other. It deals cold damage, and the target speed is reduced by 15 feet until the start of Sevagoth's next turn. I apply a cold proc. A guaranteed cold proc on hit. So it is the basic epitaph hit as a spell. And then for headstone is actually just the other part of the epitaph. Range spell attack, plus 12 to hit, range 60 feet. One target hits for much more damage, piercing damage this time. On a critical hit, it rolls 2 additional d8s for damage. So I've got a combination there of the epitaph burst shot, just going mew, boop, with cold on anything it hits. And then headstone, which is the epitaph charge shot. Fire that one, and if it's a critical hit, a headshot if you will, I give it even more damage in Sevagoth's hands. Bada bing, bada boom. That's how you invoke cantrips. Because those are both spell attacks. He's just got these weird spells he can do. I think it works. I've given him a gun, a very weird gun, without it being a gun. I think it works. So, we need to add in Dex Pixia. And this needs to be Razor Wing only. Oops. Ranged spell attack. So that would be plus 12 to hit. I'll figure out those stats in a moment. Ranged spell attack. Am I missing commas? I feel like I should be having commas on these. Hold on. Apparently not. I'm going to jump a bunch backwards, check for formatting on that. I'm missing colons. That's what's supposed to be there. I knew that looked weird. Damn, I'm going to have to go through and sort all that later. I'm just going to do it on these for now, and that's something that editing me can fix later, because God knows how many I've done that wrong on. Plus 12 to hit. Range. 60 feet? 90 feet. Let's make this pixie really nasty. Actually, go 90, 150 feet. Have a disadvantage range. Why not? One target. Hit. That should be a capital. Hit. Some amount of damage. So this is where we're getting into the difficulty of it all. So what I might go with is multi-attack. Titania makes 2 attacks with its short sword, Dex Pixia, or Dewata. Or I might go, no. Titania makes some... It might end up being 3 attacks with short sword. And I could do 3 of each, yeah. Yeah, let's go 3 of each. With it being 3 of each, what I can do is have the damage from Razor Wing just be punishing in itself, and then Titania can optionally use other stuff. The consideration I have to have there is that there is going to be that bonus action Tribute available. And Tribute can be cast twice. I've got to bear that in mind with the math here. So at challenge 19, it would be 95 damage per round, typical average. I want to be aiming lower than that, probably like 80, 85 per round, because of the sheer control effects that Titania can have. So for a single target attack that happens 3 times, 80-ish, 85-ish, I'd say 84 is divisible by 3, and 84 divided by 3 comes out to 28 damage, so I need something that does 28 damage. Cool. Do that. 28 damage, so we can go with 14 would be 46. I could do 46 of one type and 46 of another. We could give her a mix of heat and puncture. Heat and piercing. That sounds cool. Yeah. Heat and piercing. Hit. 14 brackets 46 piercing damage and 14 brackets 46 fire damage. You have created magic items? It is nice to create a variety of options, absolutely. Isn't Dex Pixia slash weapon? Oh, is it? Hang on. Good point. I didn't actually think about that. Dex Pixia is 80% slash. You are very right. Slash it is. That's my bad right there. 46 slashing damage and 46 fire damage. Very good catch. There we are. So yeah, that gives us Dex Pixia. And are we running out of room? Close to. We're going to have to be very careful here. Now, it's just damage when I do it like that. Do I want it to be just damage? Actually, yes, because I can make the Duata slightly more interesting. I can make it weaker, but more interesting. Duata. Razor wing only. Melee weapon attack. So that is plus 12 to hit. So I'll be using dexterity, which is a plus 6 as well, so we're fine on that. Reach. 5 feet. One target within 30 feet. Teleporting adjacent to the target if necessary without using movement. Sorry, teleport to the target if out of reach. There we are. Without using movement. There's the detail, because Duata acts like an arcwing melee. When you swing it, if you're in range, you do kind of blink to the target in Warframe. I can incorporate that into Titania's design here. So Duata, it's a melee weapon, it's a reach 5 foot, but if you're outside of that reach and within 30, blink to it. Which would also then allow Titania to chain that off 3 targets if she wanted to get to one up to 90 feet away. Blink, 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 hit, hit, hit. All without using movement. Yeah, that should be curious enough to really add to the design. Advise putting Duata teleport to an unoccupied space adjacent to target. Yeah. Teleporting to an unoccupied space adjacent to the target, if out of reach. If out of reach. This teleport doesn't use up movement speed. Put that into a second sentence so it's not so clunky. So, melee weapon attack, plus 12 to hit, reach 5 foot, one target within 30 feet, teleporting to an unoccupied space adjacent to target if out of reach. The teleport doesn't use up movement speed. Yeah. Wouldn't give Duata a 30 foot blink, 15 foot for sure. You wouldn't go 30 foot? 30 foot is 10 meters. It's not that far. No, 30 foot isn't even 10 meters, actually. It's 9 meters. I round it in my head to 10, but it's actually 9. I wouldn't say it's that far. Maybe put a recharge mechanic to avoid spamming against players. No. This is a challenge 19 creature. Challenge rating 19. When you're up against something of this level, you should be ready to start facing against gods. If you want this to be an average fight for you. If you are not ready to fight gods, then this should be a boss fight to deal with. So yes, blinking around, causing absolute havoc. That is the idea. Start wishing? Yeah. Yeah, when I say we're dealing with the Prime, you gotta remember, I'm scaling up the challenge rating as we go here. The Initiate, a challenge rating for Titania, is just basically a feminine figure with wings and the ability to prevent status effects. She's not really that amazing. By the time you get to the Prime, you've got this perfected, this sculpted essence of Titania, which is not going to give you permission to live. It's going to tear you apart. You consider something like this careering through a town. That's exactly what it's intending to do. What I will do is I'll bring the damage down on Duata. Actually, I'm going to bring the damage down on Dex Picture as well slightly, so I can add Duata to the Quick Strike bonus action. Yeah, let's do that. Let's really ramp up the mobility on this one. So, Dex Picture, I'm going to bring that down to 11 from 3d6 on both of these. So it's taking 7 damage per attack off of that. 31st kind, considering it's CR19? Yeah. Warframes overall are designed to have a little bit of a difficulty with range. All Warframes are very effective in relatively close range circumstances. Unless we really steady ourselves with sniper rifles, we're mostly designed for pretty up-close combat at Warframes. Our power up close is devastating, but you get 200, 300 feet away from a Warframe, it's not really a problem anymore. A Warframe that's 300 feet that way, you don't need to cry. You don't need to concern yourself. Unless it's a real speedy thing, you don't need to concern yourself. But once it's in range, a Prime is like dealing with the Tarask. Only it's intelligent and has spellcasting. So it's even worse than the Tarask. Mind you, the 5e Tarask was heavily nerfed, so take that as you will. So if I bring that down there, hit. So I want to go with, that's doing 22 damage. I want something a little bit more constrained still than that. Warframe's 200 meters away, you go the other way. I mean, that's the correct way to do it, yep. And you'll survive. So, damage output on this. If I've taken off 7 damage from that, so that'll be on 3 attacks, it'll be down 21. So Quick Strike must be no more than 21. We've got the teleporting here, but it's also melee. I think something like an 18 might do it. Yeah. So what I can do here, Duata is also slashing, right? No, it's puncture. What? I know nothing. Okay, so it's a dagger. One thing, I might give it a triple mix of damage. 1d10 piercing, 1d10 of something, and 1d10 of something. Give it a triple mix. Because I think that comes out to an average of 16 damage. Is that a bit low? I've had a 12, so it'll be an average of 19, right? 19. Yeah, 19 should do the trick. Yeah. So we'll do hit 6 brackets 1d12 piercing damage. Corrosive Cold is what you run on your Duata. I got no reason to disagree with that. Let's run it. Your damage setup is now going to be canon to Titania Prime and D&D. There it is. 6 1d12 cold damage and 6 brackets 1d12 acid damage. Yeah. Titania makes an attack with its dagger or Duata, depending on the form it is in. There we are. Corrosive Cold, nothing to sneeze at? Yeah. So using 1d12s there, it actually looks slightly weaker than it is because the average damage is always rounded down. Let's put it outside the brackets. For anyone who's curious about that, it gives the DM a quick reference as to the kind of damage it can do. And if you don't care about randomizing damage, you can just read off the average. So like if you have a bunch of goblins all attacking one person, rather than rolling out, okay, 1d6 plus 3 from that guy, and 1d6 plus 3 from that guy, and 1d6 plus 3 from that guy, you just go, alright, they do 24 damage to you. But it actually undermines that half point, and when it's split into 3 dice like this, doesn't really capture the full damage, because each of these is 6.5. So rather than 18, it's 19.5 average damage, I think. No. Yeah, 19.5. So whenever you see things like that, just bear in mind there is actually a little bit of hidden variance, which in this case is about 10% of the damage. Also when there's crits. Whee! Average damage rate? Yeah, it's definitely got its uses. It's also why I put the DC whenever it's called for. So like in the spell here, a wisdom saving throw, brackets DC 20. Because the information should be in front of you as a DM. You don't want to go looking, you don't want to be doing mental math that doesn't need to be done. Just put it right there in front of you. Ah yeah, DC 20, good job done. I know the answer. Go for it. Right then, so multi-attack. Titania makes 3 attacks with its short sword, Dex, Pixia, or Dewata. It may mix and match the options it has access to. Just to be extra cruel, that means you could then use Dex Pixia, Dewata, and then bonus action Dewata. Give the total freedom to really go as mad as you want with it. Razor Wing doesn't feel that high level overall. The damage output is pretty strong though. Damage output is on the order of single target. 22, 44, 66 plus 19, 76, 85. 85? Did I really take it all the way up to 85? Yep, cool, that's perfect. That's 7th level at most. Yeah, that's not 8th level to me, that's 7th level. But despite the fact that she hasn't got any 8th or 9th level spells, she's got multiple casts of it. It balances out. Didn't do the hit points bits, that's probably confusing someone. Let's do that now. It comes out to... let's go up. 273. For 42, D8 plus 84. Beautiful. I also haven't added in the prime bonuses that Warframes get. So after senses, we got the condition immunities. They all get immunity to prone and restrained at the prime level because I give them prime sure-footed. It makes sense to me. But for Titania, I'm going to go with a couple others as well. Charmed. I think. Charmed, prone, restrained, and I want to give her one more. I think. No, go with those. Charmed, prone, restrained. And then we'll give her a damage resistance. Being Fae designed. Let's go weird. Something that's probably not going to come up, so it's perfectly fine to use. Damage resistance is psychic. A mind hard to sully. So the charmed and psychic is unusual for a prime. Primes by standard of prone and restrained, but I'm adding in the charmed and psychic there. I think that gives a little bit of a just an extra pizzazz, extra detail. Let's put. Is it fly 60 foot or 60 foot fly? I'm going to check the book for the standards on that. Just because I can't remember. Ugh. What's the notation they typically use? It's fly, then speed. Right. Yeah. Cool. I think that should be fine. Yeah. With the small form, did I give her evasion or an AC buff? I did. So the AC goes up from 19 to 21. I considered giving pure damage resistance, but that could be too much. I considered giving... was it effectively the benefits of dodge, but again, that would be a hell of a lot of effective AC and dexterity save increase. She's already at dex plus 12, which is a pretty damn good save, you know? That is a high saving throw. That's on the level. That's kind of saving throw that a challenge 19 should have for their core stats, but even still, that's a lot of dex. So I didn't want to give it anything too much there, but plus 2 to the AC is enough to tick it over to be extra problematic. Also, the Wood Fox, cheers. That should be extra problematic for someone to face, especially considering this thing is flying around at 60 feet per round without even having to dash. Yeah, I think that should do the trick. So let's spec out damage output and see if I've done anything stupid here. Razor Wing, let's look at full Razor Wing. Eyes aren't the best, the increase to 90 to 21 is massive. It is, yeah. And don't worry about your eyes not being the best. It's all small text on a screen that is coming through Twitch. Twitch resolution is known to be problematic, so don't worry about it. But let's see here. If we go Razor Wing straight away and use that for full damage output on that first turn, we get 3 lots of Dex Pixia for 66, and we get a Duata for 19 average. Next turn, we can use a bonus action for Tribute, which on hitting something will be 21 damage, which is only slightly more than the Duata. That's interesting. But it also gives us something like resistance to all damage if we go and pick up the buff temporarily. And then we got the 66 again. And then we can do that a second turn in a row. Gives us, on average, 86 damage per turn. Good. 86 damage per turn is challenge rating 17, not 19, in terms of average output. So it puts Titania's output slightly below the average. Her hit points are slightly below the average as well. Her armor class is normally on the average, but goes slightly up whilst in Razor Wing, so that's all good as well. She's got a very good dex save, so that's good. And then she's got the supporting effects all over the place that she can use, including just having insane mobility. Compared to what a lot of Warframes get, she is mobile. Could also make Razor Wing change from an action to bonus action if aerial. Oh no, I've just made it bonus action in general. So bonus action into Razor Wing, and then you can use your action to start shooting straight away. She could just transform and get full benefit of that, really. I think that is in a very good spot. So I've done the AC, hit points, speeds, all the stats, saving throws, skill, senses, conditions, and damages. Language is fine. Bullet jump, yep, that's upgraded to 4 times distance, which is mad good. Makes up for the lower strength. Spellbind is in the right spot. I've got the DCs all in the right places overall. The weapon hits, easy math because int and dex are the same amount of bonus. That's nice and simple. Let's just reread these to make sure there's nothing stupid in this slot. Titania makes 3 attacks with its short sword, dex pixie, or duata. It may mix and match the options it has access to. Simple and clear. Short sword and dagger just exist. I haven't done the stats on those. That's what I missed. Passive heaving on spellcast friends herself. I haven't included that, no. The only bit of her passive I've included is the enhanced bullet jumping. Otherwise, the passive isn't there. And a lot of Warframes get that same thing. So yeah, I've not included that one. That is intentional. Frankly, it would just be too much going on with the frame at once. Even at the lowest levels. Yeah, this should be 1d6 plus 6 piercing, so that brings it up to 3, 9. The dagger is 12 to hit. There's 1d4 plus 6. 8. So this is 9 and 12, so you get 36 damage out of this, which is frankly pathetic. Considering that the dex pixie gets 22, this is getting 12. I'm going to increase the poison damage just to 2d6. Not much further. Razorwing is still more powerful, but it brings this up to 16 per attack. So it'd be 48 plus the daggers 8 for 56 per round, which is not bad. It's still low for the level, but it's not bad. So Titania has sustain to her. Whereas a number of Warframes, once they've gone through their spells, they're like, shit, now what? So you can consider that the alternate passive. Rather than having that healing, she has the sustain in her output that she can do. As I was saying, good afternoon. I have a question about wizard pacts. Can I make a pact that rejuvenates my character when I perform services for the patron? Okay, we got a few things to unpack there. First of all, one, it's warlocks that make pacts, not wizards. Wizards study, warlocks ask for a sugar daddy to give them spells. Or sugar mommy or sugar eldritch being, whichever is your preference. Secondly, can you make a pact that rejuvenates your character when you perform services for the patron? That would be entirely down to DM's discretion there. Performing services for the patron in a D&D setting is that straight roleplay or quest encounter situations. It's not a class feature you would pick up directly. So very much speak to your DM, make it clear that's the kind of thing you're looking for. If you're looking for something that is guaranteed to give you some kind of support on doing something as a warlock, let me just grab the book. Bear in mind, I'm just looking at the player's handbook here for your reference, but yep. Warlock. That is sorcerer. I went too far. Thanks. So, under the fiend, here we go. Where is it? The fiend, yeah. Dark One's Blessing, starting at first level, when you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier plus your warlock level, minimum of 1. So that would be, if you're looking for something that just kind of you get as a matter of course on taking down a creature to 0, that's what you've got access to on the warlock. So something could be adapted from there if your DM is happy for a homebrew variant. Again, your DM has final say on all of that. But for something more than that, certainly if you're doing full-on services for your patron, that is entirely kind of DM side quest, rather than a feature you can just pick up from a book. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Right, I think that is Titania complete. I don't think I've missed the details there. The hit points looks correct to me. Yep, that one's done. That one's done. That one's done. That one's done. Yeah, the hit points are all correct. We got gaps which can accommodate Info boxes and graphics, that's all fine. That's looking good. All the attacks are in the right places. Yup. All the levels are set. Yup. I have now been handed the correct cup of tea. It's just, yeah. Oh, yes, the razor flies! Shit! Doran, thank you. Fuck. Right. Frickin'. That's going to mess with the damage calculation as well. Bollocks. Bollocks, 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 bollocks. You know what? I could just not. She could just not create the razor flies. I've given her enough interesting things, honestly. She's got Dex Picture, she's got the Duarte, which has teleporting on her. She's got access to using the Duarte as a bonus action. She's got her spells. Honestly, I'm happy to cut them. And not just because I did forget about them and now haven't included them in the encounter mathematics. Because what would they provide? They provide a roaming damage spot. Which would also need to have its own hit points and targeting. Yeah. Razor Wing is her. Razor Flies kind of exist around her. Yeah, they distract enemies in Warframe, but we don't need to be doing that here. I'm going to convince myself out of it. I did say at the start of making the Prime that I wasn't sure about including them or not. I'm going to convince myself out of it. So... ditch all of that. Increases to 21 and is unable to use its short sword and dagger. Let's do that actually. In this form, it's Titania is unable to use its short sword and dagger. It instead gains access to Duarte and Dex Picture actions. Fixed it. While shrunk, Titania gains a flight speed of 60 feet, and its AC increases to 21. That doesn't need a comma there. There we are. There we go. Looks like Flaming Sphere in terms of doing damage to things they share space with. They could do. They could be like Flaming Sphere. They could be like Cloud of Daggers. They could be a swarm of creatures that just move in and nibble something. All of those things exist in 5e. You could pick from any of them. I'm not going to include any of them. Partly because, frankly, I've made the encounter balance now, the creature balance rather. I'd have to rebalance the numbers on the attacks. Partly because that would add yet another weedy schmeedy thing going on, which I don't think she needs. If anything, it might detract from her. We're going, oh, what are these flies doing? Oh, they're just nibbling on something. Okay, that's, it's a thing. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. At least from the perspective of anyone who's not played Warframe, it just seemed odd in comparison. And then there's the aspect of the visuals in the document here. I'll be creating another page to have a relatively small block and then just space to fill with some kind of artwork. Whereas I've already got a space here, I've got a chunk of space there, and I've got a chunk of space here on the Titania section. She doesn't need any more space. So unlike, say, Atlas's Rumblers, they are core to the ability, or Caliban's Conculus, which is, again, core to the ability, the Razorflies can vanish here. And it's not the first feature that's vanished out of Titania. We've also not used the Full Moon effect to buff up companions, because, well, we don't need all those 20 million options. Yeah. Ken, did you take into account that Razorwing summons the butterflies to damage enemies? Mystic, are you trying to be funny, or did you just arrive? Because Twitch doesn't tell me if you did just arrive. Actually, it does tell me, because I can see about your messages earlier. Nope, you sent messages half hour ago. You're just trying to be funny. Didn't land. Maybe that's why you just weren't listening for the last 5 minutes. Either way. I think that should sort it. We're taking out that stupid note and rewrite the wording up here, and it now looks all fine and dandy. Yes. I'm satisfied with it. Is there anything that I've missed, chat? This is your opportunity, your golden opportunity to point out a bit I have missed entirely. Sorry, Doran, didn't mean to make you lose your cuppa there. I still have mine, so whatever. I mean, maybe it's something to do with your mug. Maybe your mug is just insufficient for handling such brilliant British humour. Maybe you need to get yourself an upgrade. Because see this mug here? This mug? Not this exact one, but a replica, a copy of it. Perfectly same quality. Could be yours if you head on over to the merch store. And the thing is that there are two variants. We've got this mug here. You notice I've got the same mug there and there. But this one, on this side, has got another snack. This one, on the other side, it's got Let's Solve a Practical Problem by yours truly. So whether you want to have yourself a practical snack on both sides, or if you'd rather have yourself that wonderful catchphrase to wake yourself up as you drink your tea or coffee.
Purely for the deadpan delivery of didn't land lol.
Cheers. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate the 100 bits there. Just on the note of the mugs, is that also when you purchase them whilst I'm streaming, it pops up with an alert, which is rarely seen on the stream as well, so you know, you get to be extra fancy. Anyway, yeah, that's my little bit of selling out for the day. Grab yourself mugs. Hell, you can grab yourself some hoodies in the process if you really want to do so. Meanwhile, Zom has been murdered by allergies. I don't sell anything for that, I'm sorry. Good luck not dying. If Titania was around, she could spellbind and clear the status effect. If that's of any help. It's not really, is it? It's not really any help. Nah, sorry, yeah, that's on. Anyway, is there anything I've missed? Now that I've got rid of the razor flies, because it just... mess. All the reasons I gave moments ago. We got the Spellbind, we got Tribute, Lantern, Razorwing. Titania has the ability to cast 7 spells per short rest, which is a lot more than a lot of Warframes. You usually get 1 of each. Asking Faye for help, don't think it usually goes well. True. Don't ask Titania, just have a Titania. Yeah. We've got the Quick Strike all the way through, so again, unlike other Warframes, a few of them have this, but not many. But Titania, just to kind of bolster up the interest, has that little quick swipe of the dagger, which adds to kind of her dexterity, her speed overall. This is a Warframe that can get things done quickly. Flits around. And then that nasty stealth bonus at the end. Tiny, stealthy pixie. Deal with it. Yeah, I think this is all in a good spot. But the only thing I'm unsure on is this note of fly 60 foot during Razorwing. I've put it there as a bit of clarity, just because it's such an odd change. But at the same time, I'm not mentioning the AC because it doesn't really fit in to go. Click off to go 19 natural armor, 21 during Razorwing. It wouldn't fit, and it'd look weird. But it makes me wonder if I shouldn't put this here, because it might, again, confuse someone into thinking there is no other change to stats, when specifically the AC does change. I'm going to open that to you guys. Titania will be one of the more terrifying frames to fight. She can just Ant-Man Thanos meme you. Umbrella, she literally can't. At any point, Titania may end this spell freely, returning to its normal size and statistics. If Titania is unable to fit in its space, it is ejected to the nearest unoccupied space it can fit into, taking 10 force damage per 5 feet of force movement. Literally cannot Thanos meme you. Sorry to ruin that one for you. You weren't talking about D&D just realistically? Oh yeah, realistically you just have this razor bladed armor thing just... Yeah, that's very bad juju. I mean, I think you'd be pretty hurt already on entrance, let alone the expansion. That just... Anyway, let's not think about that too much. I'm gonna quickly poll those of you who are interested on a different topic, however. Just whilst I think about it. Simple little poll, and I'm going to put 2 minutes on this one to give people plenty of time to think and click. Friday the 29th, that is 3 weeks away now. Ray Nuva suggested this, and it's been 2 years since I last did one. Would you like to see an AMA stream? For those of you who don't know, AMA is Ask Me Anything. Last time I did this was literally 2 years ago, at the turn of the new year as well. And, well, that is the last Friday of 2023. I won't put it onto the very last stream of the year because, well, that'll be the New Year's stream, which I'm not 100% certain if I'm doing that one yet. We'll see. But would you like to see an AMA stream on the last Friday of the year? Now, this is just an advisory poll. I'm just trying to grab interest. Given that you guys are here on a Friday stream, you'll be the most likely people to actually turn up to said stream. So that's why I'm asking you guys. But he's saying, honestly, got no burning questions, but based on response to Discord, vote yes for everyone else to enjoy. Fair enough. Doran, I'll be interested to listen, at least Kenji. Fair enough. Yes, Witterfox. Fair. Votes are 4 yeses, no no's, and 40 lurks by the sounds of it. Here's one for the lurkers. You collectively got a free hydrate out of me. Yeah, last time I did an AMA stream, I think the way I set it up was I had a channel on the Discord, people could put their questions into that channel, and then on the stream itself, I'd locked up the channel and went through all the questions one by one. Lurkers are lifeblood? Yes. Especially if they subscribe. Lurkers. Come on. Yes. Come on. Yeah. Maybe. We appreciate the lurkers, they pad out the ads on entry. What? I don't follow that one, sorry. Maybe I'm missing something there. Maybe I'm missing something. Anyway, that is probably going to be it in terms of Titania. That is the 43rd Warframe complete. Now, I'm not going to have this project done before Corvex comes out, so technically I've been saying that it's 43 out of 55. It's going to be 43 out of 56 once that comes out this month. And if you go through Warframe's account, hang on, wait, Ken, I only see 55. Why are you saying 56? Hydroid. I did Hydroid pre-rework. We got a bit to go. Scroll up to him. Give me a sec here. We getting there? L. Okay, got a bit further to go. Oh, there it is. So I did Hydroid pre-rework. And I went with very much the Kraken theme and turning them into dangerous stuff, which means that this old Hydroid, the Hydroid Master, has Undertow. Hydroid transforms into living water with all its gear melding into the water form. For the duration, Hydroid becomes immune to all non-magical piercing, bludgeoning and slashing damage. Hydroid retains its senses, statistics and void powers, but cannot use its equipment. While in this form, Hydroid can forcibly flow as freely as walking or swimming, may pass through a gap as small as 1 inch, and may spread into a pool of area 300 square feet, such as a circle with radius 10 feet and thickness 1 inch. That should be 300 cubic feet. 1 moment. Bear with me just a moment. Is that even correct? 10 squared times 3.14. I'm going to have to return to that. That's incorrect. I'm going to have to return to that. Anyway, suffice to say, I'll be doing a new Hydroid to go alongside it. The Hydroid Reborn, which is the 55th or 56th, or the last of the Warframes, as it were. Have I posted this project anywhere? This project is not currently publicly available for actual access. So as much as you get to see it here on streams, it is still in development. It's in its alpha stage. And how and when it will be released is partly down to DE, because I'm using their IP in the entire thing. So it's not publicly accessible at this time, no. Not this time. Could I give you a few name suggestions for a sword that deals extra lightning damage? If it's a weaker one, it could be the Sparkling Saber. Nicolego Prime, thank you very much for subscribing. With your Prime, no less. Really do appreciate that. Cheers. I'm glad you've been enjoying the stream. Oh. Cheers indeed. I'm really saying they get ads when they join, you get revenue, higher view count, stream the Twitch algorithm, encourage more new videos for ads. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the ads on Twitch are absolutely terrible. They are abysmal rates. Also, the ads on Twitch are freaking annoying, which is why I don't run any mid-rolls. They're just absolutely painful. It really does put me off a stream watching it, and a mid-roll ad pops up, always at the most inconvenient of times. Like, well, I was watching an interesting stream, but anywhere from 30 seconds to 4 minutes I've seen? 4 minutes of the same adverts over and over and over and over again. Not even a bit of variety, Twitch, please. For the pennies that it gives, no. No. So as much as there's a pre-rolls, you'll get those on coming to the stream unless you're subscribed. One good reason to subscribe. Aside from that, I can't be doing that. I just can't. Even when Warframe pre-warned me and say, hey, we'll be raiding with like 10,000 people. That could be 10,000 adverts. I could run 10,000 adverts multiple times over during the time that those people are coming for a raid. And I just can't do that. They're terrible. They're really terrible. So, a legendary level lightning sword. Okay. If I grab my Pathfinder book, it has a section of equipment with a lot of different weapon varieties. So it depends on the kind of sword you're going to have, because like you could have a... let's see, swords here, it's got Bastard Swords, Falchion, Great Sword, Long Sword, Rapier, Scimitar, Dog Slicer, Curved Blade, very generic, Katana, Temple Sword, Sawtooth Saber, so just sabers. Just as some indications, you can look into even further ones like Gladius and whatnot. It's a universal sword, magic items, any kind of sword can be this one. Okay, that narrows it down. That does narrow it down. Gallipal, by the way, thank you very much for subscribing with your Prime. Welcome to the channel proper. Both you and Nihilego, enjoy your lovely blue sub badges, your emotes, your access to support Tea Lounge over on my Discord, and no more adverts for you here on Twitch. Or at least not adverts from Twitch, anyway. I'll still occasionally sell out. And again, Twitch is still doing that thing where it takes 2 people to set off a hype train. I don't know when that became a thing, but sure, Twitch, okay. That sets off a hype train these days, is what I'm reading. Sure. Go for it. So, Universal Swords, so we're looking for a name that is just going to be a generic application to any type of swords. We can't go for any kind of alliteration or wordplay on the sword type, because that's not available to us. You can use, then, if you're looking at lightning, focus on the how of the lightning. Is it something coming from, is it generating kind of a natural effect lightning? So it could be a tempest. Oh, it's Nihil. Oh, right. Okay, sorry. You've not used capitals, so I can't figure out where I'm supposed to put the details. Now I know. Nihil ego. Got it. It's that. Nihil ego prime. Got it. Also, that is... Maybe I'm just too English, but I feel like I'm stumbling over saying that. Nihil ego. That... Ooh. Not to have a go at your name, but that doesn't come out of the mouth happily. That doesn't flow. Which I suppose fits for Nihils. Nihil ego. That's like I'm almost saying something rude. Not gonna lie. You tried adding caps to your name at Twitch and keep them? Oh, really? That is unusual. I know other people have been able to. Mystic Mindfox. Put it simply, it was enchanted by a Tempest god to have lightning energy swords that will produce electricity sound when being used. Okay. Oh, Umbrella coming out with the absolute banger there. Fulgurite Falchion. Fulgurite is a glass material produced when lightning strikes sandal-like. It's a glassy falchion with lightning damage. Fulgurite Falchion if you're going for a specific one, or if you just wanted to give it some kind of mystical name, just like a modifier. Like you can have magic sword, magic spear, magic shield, replace the word magic with a magical word, burning sword, whatever. Your unearned number 2-bit badge has been taken away? Yeah, apparently so, Kelton. You could call it Fulgurition. Take Fulgurite and Ignition, put it together for Fulgurition. Fulgurated, some variant of that. Yeah, Fulgurite is a brilliant grab there, everybody. Very well thought of. Was kind of the end of Falchion like that as well? Yeah. So it feels like, yeah, Fulgurite and Falchion together, you get your word, you could do it that way, and then you could just append that to any type of sword, and it fits. There you are, Mystic. I think that is a practical problem well solved. Absolutely. And I think on that high note, that is where we're going to have to end it. This has been another wonderful stream of turning Warframes into D&D monsters. That is now 43 completed Warframes. I'm feeling very good about this project. I cannot wait to bring it to its end, get all the alpha stat blocks done, do the balancing pass, some testing here or there, full beta format it, and then we'll see what comes next on that, quite frankly. It's the end is in sight, and in a very, very good way. We need a clem page? Maybe that could be the bonus reel. that could be the DLC, the added extras. The clem, the stalker, other acolytes could be in there. We could have John Prodman, you know. All these extra ones. How does mag work? By using abilities. Yeah. Mag has her abilities. Pull, magnetize, polarize, crush, they're all in there. Is it a save? Okay, Kelton? You're doing the equivalent of saying, in Warframe terms rather than D&D terms, how does the forming work? Is it critical? That's not a complete question. That's not... The question itself is so wrong that I can't start with it. How does mag work? Is it a save? Is missing so much of the detail I can't start, sorry. Other than to mock the question, it seems. Mag has a lot more features going on than just a single save. And as I say, I could also do an operator one. I've intentionally avoided the operator. How does magnetize work? Okay, it's got a whole bunch of things going on with it, Kelton. Let's put it that way. You'll have to see when the full document is out. Because that one is a complicated one. I have intentionally avoided the operator. This is also one of the reasons Well, no, this is one of the changes I've made to the Warframe lore, as it were, for the D&D document, to fit it into any setting comfortably. If I were, as a DM, say to my players, hey, I'm bringing in some new creatures, they're called Warframes, see how you like to fight them. Have them kill them, and then I go, haha, by the way, they were child soldiers, forced into this war, and you just murdered children. They would be a bit pissed. They would definitely be a bit pissed at that. Child soldiers is already a very touchy topic to play as. Like, the only reason we really accept it is because it's so wildly abstracted out there, we just kind of go with it, and also Warframe's a very dark experience anyway. But to make it as an opponent, go fight these child soldiers, that ain't a good look. That ain't a good look. If someone wants that in their Warframe D&D universe, if they want to do their homebrew, but they take this document and they go, no, operators are a thing, more power to you, I can't stop you. But I ain't adding it there. 1,000-year-old anime children? Yeah, I'm definitely not adding that. Yeah, Umbrella, your point got proven before you finished typing your point. Before you finished it. Gotta do the Drifter? I mean, you could do the Drifter. If he gives you consent, you know, I mean, make sure he's on board with it. But more to your actual question there, could I add the Drifter? I'm not going to add the Drifter because it ties into the operator lore, which ties into the child soldiers bit. Still doesn't work out. It's not where I'm looking to take this document whatsoever. Incidentally, a matter of consent. So yeah. There are no operators in this document. The Warframes are fully autonomous of themselves. In the introduction, I've got Warframes are the result of cruel experimentation in the pursuit of a machine of war. Humanoids infected with an unnatural disease, crafted to turn flesh to armor, body to weapon, and mind to obedience. The experiment was mostly successful, except they lacked that crucial obedience, eventually turning on their creators. How these Warframes ever proved useful in war has been lost to time. Now they are feral, unbound, plundering whatever and whomever to establish a horde. Their horde is not unlike that of a dragon, both in its wealth and its defences. Warframes have a particular affinity for collecting powerful magical weapons and armour, or the resources to create more. Yeah. They're all Umbras in this alternate universe? In a sense, yes. In a sense. Oh, hello. Are you looking for a warm place to sit down? It's my cat. Yes, you can sit by the radiator, that's fine, okay. Clearly the heating's been turned off somewhere else. I'm going to shut that door actually, all the hot air's going to go out. Ah, bloody hell, tap. Sit. She's wanting attention. We are over time here, I need to wrap up. Anyway, nice, can't wait to see it finish. I can't wait to see it finish either. I've been working on this project for well over 100 hours. The final product is probably going to be close to 200 hours of work I would put into this whole thing. It's absolutely immense. Imagine how much... No, let's not go down that road. Just think, 200 hours all told to put this together is what it's going to be in total. Once I've got every Warframe written up, go through basic playtesting, amending things, neating up all the details, make sure the formatting is consistent all throughout, then getting the graphics involved as well. Hell, it might go over 200 hours. You know what? I need a rest. That's why we're going to wrap up the stream. It's been a great one. I'll catch you all in the next one. See you on Sunday. Bye-bye.